Hello and welcome to episode 18 of Nerds and Words. I'm going to be your host today, Timalin1337, and we are joined once again for the second week in a row, a very special guest, Biohack. Welcome back. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And then, as always, the rest of the nerds, Potion Shop TV.
Hello.
And everybody's favorite conspiracy theorist, Moreland TV.
I was able to find my figs last week. Thank you for asking. And this week, I've already got my cooking mats laid out, so I'm way ahead of the curve right now. I'm doing great.
I'm killing it, man. Congratulations. So as always, we have a ton of content for you guys. We're not only going to go over the patch notes, but we've got quite a bit of meat, potatoes, a little bit of juice, if you will. So we're going to not waste a whole bunch of time. We'll hit our weeks real quick and then dive right into it. Biohack, let's start with you again, since you're the special guest all over again. How was your week?
Week was great. It's been my goal to hit 2 trillion silver for a long, or not silver, but 2 trillion net worth for a long time. So I could say I was a multi-trillionaire. And then with all the pen accessories going up, I finally accomplished that. So I was super stoked about it.
Congratulations, man.
That's a big deal. Like, I don't know, like, just put that in perspective. I think my entire net worth is worth like 300 to 400 million. And I've played, that's everything for 4.5 years. Like, that's
I hope you meant billion.
Yeah, that's pin accessories. I have 5 pin accessories. That's everything. It's so 2 trillion in BDO is a huge amount of silver.
Yeah, that's pretty legit.
Most of my net worth is the sword that Biohack sold me.
Moreland, how was your week, buddy?
I'm still super addicted to that Hades game, dude. I just kind of started to play it last week, and it's pretty much all I did this week. Yeah, I probably won't play it much further than like the next week or so, but goddamn, I had a good time playing that game.
The art style. I watched a couple of your streams after you talked about it. The art style in that game is definitely different.
That game's starting to pick up some traction too. There's some bigger streamers starting to get, pay attention to it.
It's so good for $20, dude. I can't believe how much value I've gotten out of it.
Well, they saw Moreland streaming it, so why wouldn't they? How are you settling into the new place? You moved a couple weeks ago, yeah? You happy being back in San Diego?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, everything's still like pretty closed down, but there's all the restaurants have these weird like patios that are out in the street now, so that's been interesting. And
it's very European.
Yeah, the sky's starting to go back to normal. It was pretty much on fire when I got here, so it almost feels like San Diego again. It's starting to look sunny and nice.
Oh, that's right. This week would have been TwitchCon. Today would have been TwitchCon.
Wow, really? Is we at that point?
Yeah, I think
so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we should have been in San Diego this week. Interesting. Potion, how was your week, buddy? How you holding up?
Sleep cycle got messed up, but we've been doing pretty good. I got my music album out. That was the big. We talked about that last week a little bit, but the music album's out. Really, really excited about that. That's my big news this week. Inside BDO.
You created, real quick, if I can interrupt, you created like 20 perfect tracks for streaming. I have listened to that album on my stream like 7 times at least. It's not repetitive. They're unique. There's like 1 or 2 songs that I may skip, but the rest of it, like all of it's good. All of it's good. It's so good. It's the perfect background stream music. I can't wait for the next album.
Yeah, it's something like the reason I was inspired by it is because we had this big concern about being DMCA'd. And, that DMCA was a huge fear. Like, and I don't think right now it's as a big deal on Twitch, but in 2 years, like, it's going to be the apocalypse when they get all these bots in line for it. And so I just wanted to kind of get some music. So if that happens sooner rather than later, then I can just have music I can play. Even if it's only an hour, I can have something to play that I personally enjoy. And that was where it kind of came from. And I looked up some other people who were also doing the same thing. I think like Nightblue3 has his own music channel, and there's someone else that does like chill beats for streamers. And I was just kind of trying to figure out where there was a niche where there wasn't anybody doing any music in like a genre. And hey, guess what? It was the music genre I liked, so it worked out pretty well.
So I'm a big music nerd, so if I can compliment you a little bit, I had pretty low expectations. Like, no offense, I had no idea what Potion Shop coming out with music was going to be like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there's when you said like the chill or ambient music's really boring and really sucks the life out of a stream in my opinion. But you've got enough of like a high enough BPM, and you've got there's a theme to the entire album, like stylistically, but it's not repetitive. And if you replay it hour after hour, it's not like annoying, you know, like synthwave is or something like that.
Great.
Wow.
Yeah,
Dude, I hate synthwave.
Dude, Tim just loves attacking synthwave every chance he gets.
like I actually enjoy synthwave and chill a lot, but I find that the people who make that music tend to go with high quantity and low quality, and then no one goes with the high quality and low quantity. And so I was trying to find a balance between the two, because I feel like I could have made the quality way higher and released less songs, but then you don't have as much music to listen to while you stream. So anyway, it's a learning process. I think the only thing I wish I had done better is I feel like a lot of my music is soft compared to other like more professional music. So if you listen to my music and you listen to some of my some other music on Spotify, I find it's a little softer than the average song. Like the average volume is a little lower on mine. And so that was the only thing that I think in hindsight I would change. But I'm really happy about it and looking forward to working on some more. Should have right now my album process is about 6 months to get an album out, is roughly the time frame. So we'll see how that goes to the next one.
How did you learn how to do all that? Like, what was the process to get started? That's something I've always been interested in, but it felt like a big cliff to jump off.
So one thing I need to be very clear about is I hire a ghostwriter. So I played musical instruments growing up. So I used to play the trumpet, I played the piano, I did art. I did a lot of artistic type things growing up. And so because of that, I learned a lot of music theory and things throughout my life. And then as I got, now I'm older, I stream all the time, make YouTube videos. I don't have enough time to actually sit down and learn how to use FL Studio or any of the other programs out there and like really put the time in needed to become a professional at a new art like that, a new skill. Because it really is like picking up a trumpet and trying to learn how to play it. And so I just didn't have time to put it in that. So I hired ghostwriters, and then I used my talent for my musical ear along with, you know, the direction I wanted to go for an album of music, and then I hired some ghostwriters to make the music that I didn't have time to make. And so it's a double-edged sword, because you're working on, it's sort of like a mutual relationship you have to have with these writers. You know, you pay them, so you have to pay them a fair wage. And if you ask too much, then, you know, because like honestly, I'm not paying them a whole lot, so it's a balancing act between it all. So it's complicated anyway.
I'm thoroughly impressed.
You can get it everywhere. Like literally, it's everywhere. You can get it on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify is obviously the most popular place. iTunes.
What would they search for, or what would they? How would they find it?
You can. The album itself is called Cube. The original idea was gonna be Square One, but apparently someone else named their album Square One. So I wanted to have an original album name for at least my first album.
Cube was available?
Cube with a K.
Cube with a K. And so every single song in the entire album is a 4-letter name, and they're all made up words, or at least I tried to make it made up words. And so basically the album Cube is also a hint towards the original album name, which was going to be Square One. And it's also a hint towards every song name being 4 characters of a random letters, right? So I don't know. It was something I thought was kind of fun. It's different. It's interesting. There's like a little backstory to it, and I don't know what I'll do for the next one. I was thinking about maybe the next one being 5 letters, but maybe I'll be more creative than that. I don't know.
I don't know. I can think of some pretty creative 5-letter words.
What would you name a 5-letter album?
I don't know. I've just started to. I'm thinking about. One thing I'm thinking about calling it maybe Smoke, because I just learned how to use Blender to make smoke effects, and so I'm going. So I was thinking about calling it Smoke because of that, and then basically making the YouTube music videos with like fog effects, like smoke effects, stuff like that. because I just learned how to do it in my animation program. So I was like, all right, well that seems like a good fit. So I don't know. I just brainstorm ideas and then come up with something stupid by the end. So we'll figure it out.
Do you put the animations like on like YouTube with the music? Is that why it's relevant? What are you using Blender for?
I used Blender originally because I needed something to make a visualizer for the music, and I didn't have one of those. I'm too broke to afford Adobe, so Blender was the only option. So I learned how to use Blender, and I got some very basic stuff. Watched some basic tutorials, and I'm trying to upgrade my Blender skills so that the next album is a little bit better than beginner level on YouTube. So I just got into Smoke Effects today, actually. And that was a whole thing. I was supposed to do a stream today, and then I just spent like 12 hours learning how to do smoke effects in Blender. So, like, it's actually doing a render right now. It's 92% for a bake for it.
That's cool, man. What a week, huh?
I don't know. It's so much to learn, and I find it's interesting to talk about a little bit, but I don't know where the line is drawn between like interesting and boring, right? Because it's such a new thing to me. It's sort of like, talking about your favorite hobby or whatever.
Same problem with Lackey Arrows.
Exactly. No one understands, Marlon.
I gotta tell you, man. I hope this doesn't come off condescending. This is as honest as I can be. I'm fucking proud of you, dude. I'm really impressed with the product that came out. I love it. I listened to the whole album today, just right before we did this. I listened to it in my car. I'm really impressed with you. I'm really impressed with you, homie.
I appreciate that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
My week.
How was it?
Know. I just keep talking shit, man. It's great. I'm streaming like 20 hours a week. I'm back into BDO. I'm finally back into BDO. So I'm really happy about that.
All right, so last week you were saying that you went off on a rampage. How was this week? Was it still rampage, or like was it fun rampage? What are your personal feelings on it?
Oh, it's fun for me.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah. I honestly, it was holding on to all this stuff, and I won't go into details or anything here. It's not the place for it.
Yeah.
But holding on to all this stuff was it was hurting me. It was mentally, physically hurting me. I just feel like a free new person. I exercise 5 days a week now. I eat better. I just like this. I can think clear. Just everything's better with this change that I made a couple weeks ago. And so I just stopped caring. I stopped holding on to this stuff. I stopped trying to protect or whatever. I just unapologetically me.
Yeah, I think that honestly, like, that's what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear that your choice to like get back into your job and stream for fun and everything was a choice that you were proud of and like were looking forward to it and was a good thing for you. And that sounds like what's what happened, right?
And the family business and all that kind of stuff is going so well. I'm already implementing some new strategies and changing the culture within the business and making some massive changes as far as like suppliers and people that we work with and stuff. And I'm just having a great time.
Yeah.
I streamed on Thursday or something. I took half a day off, but it's when you work for yourself, you get to you can squeeze a full day's work in, or you can just work 2 days a week and kill yourself doing it, or spread it out however you want to do it. So I really enjoy this life. And it's one that I had, and I tried to do something else. It wasn't me. And now I'm getting back to just who I am as a person. Very happy. I haven't been this happy in years.
That's what I wanted to hear.
It's awesome, dude.
So a couple people might be upset with that, but that's okay. They'll get over it. Or they won't, and that's fine too.
Sometimes I wish I had a real job.
They pay better than streaming. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
Yeah. I noticed, so I don't know how much we really want to talk about this, but my viewership and income are going down as more I was streaming. And so I peeled it back and just started being more real, and everything's better. Everything. So.
Well, I think one, like,
I'm not meant to be like a full-time streamer, and that's okay. That's okay. I'm fine being I don't, maybe not fringe, but
I'll say
niche.
this, like, I it's not like I miss the old Tim Allen. I just miss the you having fun, right? And I feel like that stopped happening, and I noticed that at some point. Like I stopped noticing that you weren't having fun because you would get up there and you'd be like, "Let's get him! Let's kill him! Flag up, boys! Let's get him!
Yeah.
Get Arsha!" You know, he would just be going off on whatever it was, and like that. At some point, like I'd tune in, you'd be like, "Hey guys, yeah, I'm just grinding all day at Stars Inn, really getting this grind on, really getting that Guru 34 cooking." You know, and I saw like I felt like a part was missing, and I feel like you've reclaimed that now, right? You've reclaimed that what was lost, and
Yeah, I'm
happy
cutting
with
meat
that.
again. It's great. No, so yeah, that's a lot of that's true. But I did grind out almost 40 billion silver in just a little over a month.
You
So-
went crazy, bro.
Yeah, getting all that extra gear. Biohack's giving me like a dry hand job of a head shake. Like, oh, that's not bad. That's like 2 hours of enhancing.
You know, that's good.
He's not that high on that. We can't say that. People will actually believe that he doesn't make that much per hour. But he does make good money.
In some hours, he does.
True.
I like one tap 4 Tet Voltars in a row the other day. That was pretty cool.
Please only speak when spoken to.
You were speaking to me. What are you talking about?
Biohack. All right. So, do you still think after the market
no.
on Tech Crescents, do you think that they're going to go up to 8 billion?
Oh dear.
I haven't even looked at the Tech Crescent market. Let me look.
If this is going to happen every week, Biohack's going to be the 4th person in this podcast.
They like barely moved at all.
It appears
No, the price
of
of pin is what's relevant for it.
not reacting at all to the
Oh,
back.
oh! You're talking about the price of Pen Crescents going to 80 bill. No, look, they're already flooded. They're not flooded, but there's 3 of them sitting at 63. Why would we think they're going to go up to 80?
I don't know. I'm just thinking. All right.
I think all the pen accessories are going to come down. Actually, like
Yeah,
150
everyone's
bills for
gonna run
pen
out of money.
distortion is way overpriced. Way overpriced. All of that's going to come down as soon as we get the next like 2 for 3 or whatever costume sale on premium outfits.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Because then all silver get liquidated out of the economy into costumes.
Well, it's just because like I would love to tap a pen disto right now, but I need to hoard all my costumes and all my crown stones for Dead God. I mean, I have a stack and I have a tet like tets. I would happily click pen disto right now if it wasn't for the fact that I can't get enough crowns.
I seriously need to do a calculation on how much it costs to get a 200 fail stack to make one. I seriously need to actually do a calculation on it. Not a
I
serious.
probably shouldn't.
No,
say
don't
this,
tell
but-
me yours because no one can copy yours. So anyway, it doesn't matter.
No, like the idea that a 200 fail stack costs money, like fundamentally doesn't understand how fail stacking works. Like,
Well,
which is like true for like
right.
99% of the population doesn't understand how fail stacking works. But like, it's just that's a nonsensical statement.
Well, I'm saying,
Like
all
a
right.
good
In my
enhancement
case, I want to know because I'm thinking about what the value of a 200 fail stack would be when you click for a pin crescent ring. Because a pin crescent ring on a 200 fail stack is roughly a 10% chance, I believe, and that would,
yeah.
and so then that would mean the potential profit value of a 200 fail stack at that point would have a fairly large value compared to other things. I mean, that's actually pretty huge at that point.
No matter how you make a 200 stack, it's going to be cheaper than the cost of a pen crescent off the market.
Yeah. I mean, here's
Yeah,
the deal.
yeah.
Like, I don't spend money making fail stacks. Like, when I make a 280 stack, I make a huge amount of money in the process of making that stack. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah,
Because-
because you're only doing it on things that end up incurring either a bigger fail stack or make you money when you click. So, like, if you get a Tri Black Star, for example, then you made money on the Tri Black Star. Or if you don't get it, then you made a fail stack, which you needed for a Tet Black Star, or fill in the blank for whatever the item is. So you're always technically clicking things that either make you money or make you money. There's never a case where you click something and you don't make money.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess technically
Kind
the
of,
only case
yeah.
would be if you had like a full set of like 500 pin reblath. That'd be like the only case scenario where you'd actually lose money. But even then, you can just consume it and you still get the fail stacks back in a way.
Do you have a Manos butchering knife, Moreland?
I have a Tet blue knife that I never use.
What's your gathering mastery with that?
I have no idea. Probably like 1,200.
Okay. Yeah, you're good. You can do Balanos meals. I was just thinking about that. Sorry.
We were talking about that before the podcast. By the way, for
Yeah.
people who are wondering.
The odds that I will go gather meat are extremely low. I will be hunting when Odalita comes out, though, so I'll have some amount of meat coming in from that.
You should do Feather Wolves now and give to Guru one.
Oh,
And then also, yeah.
I
And
don't
then,
know. I think I'm gonna do it when the new musket comes out. It'll be like 15% faster.
aren't you already pretty high hunting level though?
Yeah, but I mean the actual hunting itself. Right now, with a +10 artisan matchlock, you leave wolves alive with like 5% health. So when that new matchlock comes out, it's gonna speed up the amount of the speed
Oh,
at which
by
you can gather
50%.
feather wolves by a
'Cause-
ton. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're gonna hit a new breakpoint. Then you instead of 3 shots, it'll be 2 shots. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I mean it varies based on your crit rate, but it's going to be a lot less shots overall. It's going to be a significant upgrade when that new musket comes out. So I'm going to push Guru when that happens.
Oh, why don't you just play Valkyrie and you just hotkey your weapon and your matchlock, and then you can use Celestial Spear, 100% crit rate, and smash them.
that doesn't sound like it's in the spirit of the game.
Yeah, I
It-
mean,
that's
you
definitely
can
not.
also just use certain skills that I won't name and switch to your matchlock and get hunting damage off of your main skills. But we don't do that either because it's cheating. Potion shop.
Wait, what? I only use my Sorcerer's 3-minute buff to get 100% crit rate and it for 30 seconds, and use that on Feather Wolves. That's not that bad.
Just make sure you ask Snake, specifically Huntler, if it's an exploit or not before you do it.
You got to get on record first.
Yeah, they pretty much control what's in the spirit of the game. I can't wait to have Blunt Bear next week. That's good. We're gonna have some fun with that.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, Potion Shop. Do you want to take us through the before we get to sidetrack ourselves by
Yeah.
just casual conversation, get into the structure of it, and
All right.
probably
Well,
throw
let's
in a
get started
couple
with
of
some
curveballs.
Black Desert then. They have a new Red Battlefield map. We talked about this when it was on Global Lab, but it's Garmos Nest, and it's now out on live server. Have you guys played it? What do you guys think?
It is 3 times better than the old RBF, which, as I said earlier, makes it a 3 out of 10. So
Okay, let's.
I've just been echoing what he's been saying because it's really true. I've actually done a lot of RBF myself this week, and I went back to Castle Ruins, and then I did some Garmoth too, and I've been doing it on Awakened Witch with suppressed weapons and my Guardian. And I tend to agree, but to be more specific, the random spawn points probably is a bad idea. I think they should go to just
So explain this
one
for people
spawn
who
point
haven't
each.
played it yet and listening to the podcast. What's going on with this new one? What's different about it and everything?
So it's the Garmoth Nest, and mistake number 1 is the spawn points are 3 random spawn points. It doesn't really matter what side you're on. You just get 3 random spawn points. And so the team that's winning is generally congregated in the middle and then farms you because you have to drop down. There's no fall damage, but it's a massive drop. And then you get that stun animation, and then you have 20 people zerg you. So when you're getting farmed, the Garmoth map, in my opinion, is actually worse than the Castle Ruins map, when it's really one-sided. Because you can't just all group together. You drop down and go, where's my friends? And you die like an asshole by yourself. When the battle is even, Garmoth is way more fun, actually. But the whole wearing a ghillie during RBF is like really, really like Castle Ruins. It was like whatever. It was like, oh, there's a ghillied Sork or DK or whatever. But it's so rampant and so much harder to track on Garmoth for some reason that it's way bigger of a problem, in my opinion, on that map. But just kind of the open field fighting and skirmishing at the same time, there's some fun to be had with that map. But, I do want to take a jab at the developers for just having a flat open space to PvP is, in Moreland's words, and correctly so, literally 3 times better than what the previous RBF map was. So, the vases are good too. I like that, getting a little bit of a buff and popping off. But then you have Garmoth. Garmoth is not only individually randomly attacking players, But then he puts this massive AoE that staggers you randomly in the middle of the map or off to the side. It seems like it follows, a character or two, and then lays down this massive AoE. And there's just no need for it. It's really disruptive, and at no point have I been like, "That's really fun."
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of predicted that before even trying the map. Like, why do we want Garmoth randomly disrupting the fight? Like, what does that actually add or accomplish? Like, I don't know. It's not. I guess if it was like a PvE fight, it's interesting to have hazards and like red blotches to avoid. But I just don't really understand what it does in a PvP deathmatch mode. If it was a different mode, if it was like a Alterac Valley style mode, it might make sense. But it's team deathmatch. Why do we need something from the sky just randomly stunning people in a team deathmatch?
I think it'd be interesting if it was like capture a hill and then he spawned and the team that captured the point that moves around the map maybe would get a Garmoth to temporary aid them. I mean, it would at least be
like
slightly
if it was
better.
a mechanic that you could fight over,
Yeah.
that would be sweet. Yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah,
I mean, Shadow Reading does that. So to me, I put a lot of hours into RBF this week, quite frankly, and it's an it's a wash. It's an improvement in some ways, and it's a disappointment in probably equal amount of ways.
Now I have a question about this.
Can you take the DP buff and hop down? Do you still get ganked even if you use the starter protection?
It's 15 seconds, I think, and so by the time you get down, you've got 9 or 10. But like, you have 6 seconds maybe by the time you're actually out of the stun animation. Like it sucks. It sucks.
Well, the grouping up thing is probably the problem, right? Because
Is it a problem that only happens when teams are imbalanced, or is it actually like once one team gets ahead, does it lopside every match because being ahead it's easy to stay ahead?
So it's harder to get in that scenario where you get farmed at your spawn, like in Castle Ruins. That's fairly easy, right? You've got that team has 3 snake members, this one has 2, so you're on the losing team. But more seriously, you would see that more often. But on the Garmoth map, I've done maybe 20 matches or so. I've only really been in a farm situation once or twice, but it was substantially fucking worse than the Castle Ruins situation because you couldn't drop together, somebody PA and cast through something and then break out, right? So all those other things in the way that end up blendering you afterwards is a separate conversation, but you can at least get out and work together as a team when you're in that castle. So I just
how's the map work? Do you have to queue for one map or the other, or do you just queue for Red Battlefield and it gives you a random map?
You can queue for either one. So there's Castle Ruins and Garmoth's Nest, and you can see there's Castle Ruins 1 through 10 and Garmoth's Nest 1 through 10. You can see how many people, time remaining, Bard, all that stuff. So I've been going back and forth. Castle Ruins has actually been lit. There's been gamers in there, and it's like small scale skirmishing, and especially playing a Guardian. I actually went in on a trial witch to Castle Ruins last night, and I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing that. So when there's not 60 people with 700 gear score, Castle Ruins is a little bit more fun.
Bro, 700 gear score is the next it's the next bracket. It's like the new soft cap, because when you are like 280 AP, you can't kill those people. You just can't. It's just not possible to kill them. I super struggle bust. I had a 281 AP on my Zerker, Succession Zerker, and I'm not professional Zerker or anything, but bro, I literally could only do like 20% of this dude's health at 281 AP. I was like, what is going on? Like, I don't.
Sounds like you need some accuracy.
Yeah, probably a little bit. So,
but I think something Moreland and I really agree on is Arathi Basin style PvP from World of Warcraft would be just
it would be so good and so easy, dude. So easy.
What is that? I never heard of that.
So you basically just have 5 capture points spread out throughout a map, and the more points you have captured, the more points you generate, and there's a total score like 2,000 points, and you win the match. And usually the matches, if you're getting completely dominated, they're over in 5 minutes. If it's a closer match, it might be like 15 or 20 minutes. I don't remember exactly. But the point is, like, it's 15 versus 15, and there's 5 different objectives to fight over. And so you're constantly, there's this constant tug of, let's send 3 people this way or 5 people this way or 1 person to, sneak around and back cap this one spot. So you constantly have these small skirmishes breaking out around the map. And it's really easy to have like a high impact as a, that every single player matters, and that it's not just a big ball clashing into another big ball. Like, all these skirmishes are meaningful. And it's just super fun. Like, you get to really use your skills. It's not a lot of 1v1ing, but you might find some 1v1s. It's a lot of 2v2, 3v3, 3v5, whatever. And when you make a big play, you win the 3v5, it really matters. Yeah.
If you can 1v
really
like that's where like sub rogues and or just stealth in general, even druids and stuff would make a really big difference, because they would go try to backcap with stealth and they had the 1vx potential. And so it was just big plays all the way around. Then you'd have like guardians and stuff in the middle. Like, I could, even with like PA's ability or habit of fucking up the execution, if they even had the spirit of that and they put it in the game, I don't see how it could be terrible.
Yeah. I actually
Hopefully
think that'd be really good. I think the only problem that if they continue implementing new maps is that they continue splitting the player base more and more and more, right? So I think if they did that, they would have to make like a Red Battlefield playlist, and you basically choose it, and it gives you one of 3 different maps, right? It'll give you Garmoth Nest or the original one.
I don't agree. I think if the maps are fun, way more people will participate, and splitting the population won't be an issue. I think that first of all, I don't think RBF really has population issues right now, but if it does, it's because the map sucks. It's not because the players don't want to PvP. You know what I mean?
Right. I agree with that. I'm just concerned that BDO in 2 years from now might not have as popular of a player base, and you need to have something that can still run effectively in small population or large population, and is scalable in both directions. Because I feel like right now in BDO, it's, maybe Red Dead Redemption comes out, or Crimson Desert comes out, and like it's the new flagship MMO, or maybe another MMO comes out and it hurts the population of BDO. I want them to create things right now that are scalable in both directions, so that if BDO does take a population hit because of New World or Ashes of Creation or something, that it still has is created content that still works regardless of the population size. And that's what I'm thinking about.
Like, we're solving a problem that doesn't exist yet. If they're just going to make content assuming the game's dying, like, what's the point?
Well, I mean, I think honestly because I don't think BDO would die from this. It's like people take a break for like World of Warcraft and stuff. But anyway, I think that's a really good idea. I like that. What's that game mode called again? From
Wrathy Basin.
Wrathy Basin.
I'm sorry, I forgot to go over. I had 2 major things in BDO happen to me. Just to backtrack for a second.
Sure.
I'm the co-GM of IDC, the Balanos and Serendia Guild. We currently own Serendia, so I got promoted to co-GM in my guild. And I'm also the top admin or top co-admin of the T2 Politics Discord. So my clout just grew like incredible this week as well.
Making moves, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm a GM.
T2 Politics Discord? How is it in there?
I don't know. I banned Jester Akota, and I haven't looked since.
So you're running the Discord, but you don't participate at all other than to ban Jester?
Well, no. So I guess there's 2 T2 Politics Discords, and they really wanted to like make this one the real one, and so they invited Tim Allen into it and made him the top admin. Because who runs a politics Discord better than me? I did it for years.
Yeah, so they're using you to garner authenticity and legitimacy. Yeah, that makes sense.
I legitimized this T2 politics.
Of course, yeah, of course.
And then now IDC is number 1 Balanos and Serenity.
That might sound a little crazy to some, but I do think that has some legitimacy to that, right? I do think that does.
No, it doesn't. I just asked the guy who made it to make me an admin to see how many people would get pissed off, and everybody from Relevance did. And then I said, "Why is a dead guild in here?" And then they started talking about Aftershock. So I've been having a lot of fun. I did want to kind of poke at that real quick. I'm sorry, we could go back.
Yeah.
To...
Well, okay. So the new, the old map, jumping back into the Red Battlefield topic, has new spawns. Or like the new layout. How is it?
It was a minor change. They just kind of evened out the two starting points.
Is it fair?
Yeah.
Is it fair now?
It's whatever, dude. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. All right. Well, that answers that. There's a gatekeeper at Gyfin now. I don't know if it's worth doing. Apparently, he's way harder than the regular Gyfin mobs. So that sounds scary.
What's he drop?
Here, let me pull it up. Gyfin Rossia, 5 adventures.
I still have a try black star.
I don't think they've mentioned in here. Yeah, they just mentioned that you can kill him. They call him the Butcher of Gyfin Rossia. And he's harder than the regular Gyfin Rossia mobs.
Why is it so? It's like a full-on gatekeeper, not like something you summon.
It says up to 5 adventures may collect loot from defeating the Butcher of Gyfin Rossia. And
that's true of all Gyfin mobs, though, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. But I think this is supposed to be more of a gatekeeper type thing. But I don't know. I mean, it's anything for Gyfin though. Gyfin is just in a bad spot.
I can't believe how hard these guys railroad themselves with like these side jobs. Like, who's going to Gyfin Rossia?
Like it seems like such a weird thing too, because all you need to do with Gyfin is double the EXP and buff the money by 50%, and then it would be.
Remember when they nerfed it? Like I don't know, man. They're just hard to do anything 100% in this game. Like they're afraid to actually make changes that we want. They did all these changes to Gyfin where they made it more farmable. Like they made the mobs move faster and the pulls easier, and then they just like nerfed it at the same time so that it's still not worth doing. It's very strange how they won't just make things better and fucking just leave them better. Like they always have to make it worse when they make it better.
I just feel like I don't know why they're so opposed to just doing straight up a buff, right? Like, I mean, a lot of grind spots like Gyfin, there's no major problem other than they're just not balanced properly. So give it a buff, a push in the correct direction, and see how far it gets to the destination. And like there's lots of grind spots that are like that. Like Pilaku is so close to being a really good grind spot, but it just needs a slight push to get another 10% income per hour.
Pilaku's lit on seasons. I love that place.
Yeah, a lot of places that are bad on regular servers are good on seasons for sure.
I feel like part of the problem is like I appreciate the hesitancy to like buff something too much and make it overpowered, but they need to like keep tuning it until it gets to that point instead of just like, okay, you release it and it's underpowered, then gradually buff it up over time until the point where it's relevant, instead of putting all this work into stuff and then just kind of never touching it again.
Yeah, they need more iteration. They do like one big iteration, and then it's either famine or bust, or what's it called? Feast or famine. Feast or famine with it. It's never this a small iterative process. Like what they're doing for the classes right now in BDO, I think is really good because they are doing an iterative process of slowly buffing the awakenings to the correct position. And I do think that maybe some of the top in successions maybe need to be brought down a little bit to make the process easier. But they're doing an iterative process, and that makes sense. They need to apply that same type of logic to the grind spots also, in my opinion.
What would it take to get Biohack to grind?
I grind for the infinite pot. I grinded for the map. I'll probably grind for Deboreka.
Do you have an infinite pot?
I have one of the pieces. I haven't gotten around to getting the rest of it yet. I put like 25 hours into Rhonaros and like 10 into Blood Wolves.
I can't wrap my head around losing that much silver per hour, so I can't imagine how it makes you feel.
I mean, I'll probably be a lot more keen to do it when I'm done with Rulupi. Like that's the problem. Is I just like feel like I have this monkey on my back with Rulupi that I want to get.
Anything Bio can buy, he will never grind for, right? So it makes Deboreka Infinite Potion map. That what do those have in common? Those are all the things you can't buy.
Yeah, 100%.
Sure.
Merchant Ring, if they ever make Piece 5, like I am like so excited to go for Merchant Ring as soon as like Piece 5 actually becomes obtainable.
You can get Piece 5 right now. This like you got to do 5 hours of trading between Arahaza and Valencia. I think that's the one.
Yeah, the
5,000
problem
hours
is
doing
that you like literally with average luck, it's like 600 days of 24 hours a day
Yep.
trading to get it.
But you
And
can get
that'll
it.
get you like a
It's-
50-50 shot of getting your piece.
Wait, do you
so-
actually have other pieces of it?
No. But all the other pieces are like obtainable. Like people have them. I don't know if anyone has all 4 of them, but people
Don't
like
you
all the other
basically have to
pieces
win
are
the
things that
lottery
people have.
on Dark Rifts though? Like you're hard
No,
gated
you can get the Dark Rift piece at Paddocks now.
Ah, okay.
You can also get the Dark Rift piece doing trading in Valencia the old way. I think the pieces are compatible with each other.
Yep. They are.
So yeah, so you can get it the old way, which is hard, but it's not like Ari Haza piece 5 hard.
What if you got the 5th piece on your first trade though?
I mean, I've already done a little bit of trading there just to like see if I could come up with a system that made sense. So
Well, I mean, everybody did it. Mystery Summer. We had to trade from Arhaza to Valencia, and not one person got the piece. So that alone is a pretty good sample size to prove that's not going to be easy.
I guess.
yeah, it's like a 1 in a million or 1 in 3 million, something like
It's
that.
absurd, whatever it is.
But you can only get like 15 of the items every.
I wanted to get
15 minutes.
I wanted to get the first piece from the Desert Bandits on Arsha because you don't lose karma. But they had too long a respawn timer on them. But I was wanting to do that.
I heard
just
that
to
the whole
prove-
Desert Bandit thing was like also just a myth
I had somebody who actually got it. So unless he was lying about
from
it,
Desert Bandits.
he linked me a piece of it before they changed it, and he said he got it from
Well,
he said he got it from the bandits. And
Linked it in-game,
he linked
or
it. He linked it
screenshot?
in game. In game, whispered me, sent it to me. Here's a piece. I was like, because I called him out, bro. You're like you're full of shit. There's no way you got one. And he's like,
'Cause
yeah, I got
we
one.
used to link truffle hyphas in game back in the day too. Remember that?
I mean, the pieces
yeah.
of the ring have been obtainable. Like people have the pieces
Yeah.
under the old system, under the old trade system.
Yeah, there's people who got like 3 pieces, I believe. I don't think anybody got 4.
Yeah. Again, it's like McDonald's Monopoly though. If you don't have piece 5, you've made exactly 0 progress towards the merchant ring as a percentage.
It's the
of
same
the
thing.
power.
It's the same
by
thing
the
as
way. Love it.
yeah. It's the same thing as not having the Elton piece. If you have the Elton piece, you have the compass, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah,
with
either
piece 5.
you have the piece 5 or you've made 0% of the progress towards the rich merchant ring, and you know, it's functionally the same as someone who has no pieces.
Well, I don't think this item should be in the game anyway, but you know, good talk.
I think it's fine if it's in the game as long as it's like obtainable for anyone who wants to put in like a moderate amount of work, like 1 to 2 months, similar to like Family Fame. But if you have it be this like weird exclusive item that no one, like only super RNG people can obtain, then that's incredibly bad game design. Like things like that need to be cosmetic, not things that let you like fuck the market over.
Yep.
All right, what's next?
The next thing on the agenda is free megaphones, Elion's Tears, Crystal Extractor, and Patrigo's Bag are all obtainable through quest lines or exchangeables inside BDO now, which is interesting to me. I feel like this is like Prohibus trying to say, look, our game's not pay to win. And I feel like that's what they're kind of doing. I mean, it's not a bad thing. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't think it's a bad thing that you can now make a crystal extractor and I don't have to spend money on that anymore. Or I can get a few Elion's Tears from doing Red Battlefield. Like, I don't think those are inherently bad things. But I do feel like the underlying motive that I feel like they have for this is incorrect.
Well, I agree with that, but this is like a long trend of BDO becoming more free-to-play friendly, and more relying on super whales to fund the game. Like since costumes came out, they realized that like who cares how much money we make on crystal extraction tools, because we're just gonna worry about getting Odir to spend $160,000 on the game. Like they don't care about all this like trivial shit. So I think it's good that they're getting rid of it. I mean, it sucks that like people can spend 2 years income for and get full pen everything. But
now, I would say that if they do this, I feel like they should be removing some of these, not all of them, but a few of them from the Pearl Shop in order to balance this out. Because that way it would kind of reinforce the attitude that they're trying to make it more user friendly.
No,
please
Just
don't.
Let me buy
That's-
my crystal extraction. I don't want to have to go make I don't want to do a daily quest in Calpheon. I don't want to do any of this dumb free to play shit. It's all a waste of time.
So
Yep.
you got to think in a business sense that, you know, costumes are great, but those are like, think of it like a mechanic shop, right? Costumes are engine replacements. They, you know, you don't get them too often, but when you do, you know, there's a lot of money into it, but it takes a lot of time and development and all that kind of stuff. The crystal extraction and the alien steers and all that kind of stuff, those are oil changes, and that's like the bread and butter. So
Except for I would disagree. Like most people use 1,000 times more costumes than they use crystal extraction tools.
most people, you think most people? I have bought
even if like you as an individual aren't using the costumes, like even if you're buying you bought your distortions off the market, right? Like, do you know how many costumes went into those distortions? A fuck ton. Like you may have not have used them, but someone did.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
I think that
it's
they just
really
were
easy
like,
to do the
yeah.
math on it too, because you just go into there, look at how many costumes have sold for each category, each costume, and you can add it up. It is trillions on trillions on trillions of silver that have gone through there in costumes. It is a ludicrous amount of money that's been pushed to that economy through selling costumes for Cronstones. It's insane. Like right now, if that wasn't a thing, costumes would be flooded. They'd be completely flooded. The current prices, they'd be completely flooded across the board if Cronstones were not a thing.
My point is those small transactions add up in a large way, and I think it's surprising that they added this. It was shout out to BDO Library. Apparently they've been on the crystal extraction thing for a long time, so you know, happy to give them a little credit.
I don't know about BDO Library being in credit here. I used to have faith in BDO Library, but when they said, "Hey, we're going to get the elk mount put into the game like 3 years ago," and then they got confirmed by Probliss was going to happen, and Probliss actually made an announcement they were going to do it on like their Korean website, and then it never happened still. I just lost all faith in that doing anything. And then also when they did the class bouncing like 2 years ago, and then they halfway did Kuno's. They did this like, all right, we're going to triple the length of Spin to Win Kuno Awakening, and then we're just going to kill it. The same time that they did the Striker buffs, the Witch and Wizard buffs for the Awakening, like before Succession came out about 2 years ago. It was all part of that big package, and they had buffs for every single class from the library, and they got through 3 of the classes.
Talking about right now.
No idea.
Why don't you guys remember? You don't remember this? You don't remember when they gave Striker Awakening buffs?
Why are we mad about stuff that may or may not have gotten implemented by the library 2.5 years ago?
I'm just saying.
I don't know. Dude.
I'm saying that they don't listen to the library feedback. They only listen when they want to listen.
They clearly do sometimes.
They only listen when they want to listen, and so I don't know when they're going to listen to the library feedback and when they're not.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously they're not going to implement everything in the library. I don't think anyone ever had that expectation. But like, I don't know, like we can't say the whole library is useless because they didn't properly balance Kuno in 2018. Like, what does that even mean?
You're using the exception for the rule.
No, you are.
No, I'm not. 90% of the stuff that goes to the library does not get implemented. 90% of it.
Okay, but if 10% does, so that's useful.
I'm
that's
just
a lot higher than
pulling
0%.
a number.
Any idea how stubborn these developer cunts can be? Having somebody out there day after day collecting real information about what the players want and just firing at them just constantly. Give the guys a little bit of fucking credit.
Shout out to BDO Feedback Library.
Thank you.
I don't know. I don't think it's.
I'm not going to let you die on this hill because those guys are out there doing shit that makes my brain melt.
It's not worth my time.
I don't want to do it.
It's not worth my time.
I don't even want to vote in the fucking thing. And there's a whole community out there just pushing. God bless them. Shame on you, Potion Shop.
Shame on me. It's not if they don't ever do anything with the information and they throw away the vast majority of it, then I don't care. It's not worth advertising people going out there and doing it. Why would I say to my community, "Hey, go and do the BDO library," when 90% of the stuff you're going to do on there is a waste of effort?
Why do anything? Why have this podcast where we talk about shit we like and don't like? I mean, come on,
because
man.
We're friends. We're friends and hanging out. That's very different than I'm going to spend 3 hours, and of that 3 hours, they throw away 100% of it, or maybe they take like 5 minutes of it. It's just not a good time investment. I don't feel like it's not worth
Okay,
it.
well,
I'm just here to have fun on a video game. It's not my job to fix it. You know, I don't mind like getting together and shooting the shit with some friends, talking about it, you know, and like having a good time. But that's completely different than sitting down and looking at a spreadsheet and like, yes, I like this. No, I don't like this.
Yeah, that's exactly. So give credit to the people who are doing that shit.
But they're not. They don't. Nothing ever happens from it.
some things happen. From
Separate crystal extraction tools, apparently.
Yeah, I feel like we should probably just move on.
You're gonna get a big list of what they've done in your DMs from them.
Yep. You're gonna get a fat list.
Dude, those guys care way too much. They're the Caltheon 2 RPers, bro. They care way too much.
Like so weirdly toxic towards a group of players who are like actually trying to be productive.
No. That is an incorrect statement. I am toxic towards the organization. The individuals in the organization are fine. I like the individuals that are in the organization. They are great people. I like them, but the organization itself is a pointless organization.
You just called them Caltheon 2 RPers who take the game too seriously.
Yes, the organization is like that. That's
5 seconds ago you said that.
Yes, that's why I feel that's the feelings I get when I think of the library. It's pointless, just like Caltheon 2 RPers.
Shout out to Caltheon 2 RPers. I don't know why Toxic's being so, or why
I'm on
Poison's being so
Caltheon 2
toxic
right
today.
now.
Me too. Wow.
So what's next on the list?
All right. Well, now that I'm done RPing as the angry bigot, Wikings got a ton of buffs. Wikings got a ton of buffs this week. Which ones do you think are overpowered?
I don't know. Probably Sork.
These are mainly focused to be PvE buffs, by the way, for anyone wondering. They're mainly supposed to be PvE. I hear the best one is Ninja. And Sorceress is still, in my personal perspective at least, is still slightly worse than the Succession. But the Succession is very strong. So I don't know if that's because I'm not sure if that means Succession needs to be nerfed a little bit or they need to buff the Awakening a little bit more.
I don't understand why they didn't buff Warrior Awakening in PvE.
Because with 300 FPS, it's the best damn class in the game.
I just really think Warriors are right now. You know, we could definitely use.
Listen, Zethian has gotten that class buffed like 5 times more than it needs to be buffed. All right.
Big problem with Warrior PvE in this game right now.
No.
Needs to do something about it.
No. Vetoed.
So,
next. That's not Awakenings.
On a serious note, the witch buffs are really good. I can't believe they buffed Voltaic into Thunderstorm. That Thunderstorm comes out so goddamn fast now. I already have like a love for Awakened Witch, and I've been just fucking around on trial because I could just pump out that fucking combo so quick. It's really cool. So it was supposed to be a PvE buff, and they did buff Witch's PvE quite a bit. Obviously, I haven't done it. But that buff, and they did it with Wizard too, makes PvP really satisfying, specifically in the way that I play it, which is double teleport a group of people and just cast those 2 spells and hope for the best.
Wizard can do what, Hellfire into Belide faster now or something? I don't know if you would ever use that in PvP, but it sounds pretty cool for grinding.
No, it's Cataclysm into Bolide.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they did the same thing. So they're kind of normalizing the shift F to SF between Witch and Wizard on Awakening. But unless they fix Bolide's like hit box in PvP, Awakened Wizard's garbage. Because that thing just whiffs for no reason, and it's way too fucking slow. But maybe this helps that, right? Where you actually get that bound and they stay down long enough. There's a couple classes that get up a little bit quicker. I think it's like Zerker and a couple others. But even just like a normal class, when you would shift SF on Wizard, they would either like dodge roll out of it, or it would just whiff for absolutely no reason, which never happens on Witch. So
I just remember that 100% Belide back in the day just being a guaranteed kill on anyone in the game.
Yeah, and then they nerfed it, and it's so much.
Is it bad now? Yeah, I don't feel like I've got hit with it recently.
The damage numbers don't look anything crazy, but the hits are what look crazy on Wizard and Witch. Like you got like 1,000 damage times 12, or like 1,300 damage times 6. It doesn't like those are like crazy numbers compared to the other awakenings. Is it now? This is the question: is it better than Succession? Because if it is, that's a huge
No,
problem.
probably
No,
Not even
okay.
close. Not
Good.
even close. We talked about that last week. They need to, the answer to Succession Wizard being great is not buff Awaken Wizard in Witch, and then buff Witch Succession, which I'm okay with, but it's bring Succession Wizard in line with everything else.
Yeah, there's a few classes that are like that right now. Would you agree with?
What do you think they actually need to do to Succession Wizard?
I think just
Too
raw
young,
damage
maybe.
numbers. I think the class is actually fun to play for some people. So I think it's just damage, this raw damage.
I don't know if teleport needs to be instant, and Voltaic needs to be probably 20% of the damage needs to be taken out at least. I'm fine with the 3-hit combo, but Voltaic is like just way too strong in that combo.
The classes right now that I feel like need to be taken down would be Guardian Awakening, Wizard, and Witch, Succession. And what was the third class? Striker Succession. Needs to be those need to be looked at and carefully adjusted down. I think the way to do this is you do nerfs and quality of life at the same time, so that people don't get so mad about it.
All right, I'm going to set a timer for 2 minutes. Why do you think Awaken Guardian needs to be fucking nerfed?
Because the AP scaling is too high on it. I think they need to increase the transition of mobility on the class to make it more enjoyable. So it's basically its clear speed goes faster, but its AP scaling is too high. So in order to balance it with our classes, you need to lower AP scaling, increase clear speed, so that the class actually has the same overall clear speed as every other class in the game, roughly, without being overpowered at lower AP ratios. Because right now you can go in 245 AP at Starzin and Sakraya. You can grind. Literally, it's the only viable class for Ash Forest. The only viable class in the entire game, and that's not a healthy place for the game to be at.
Bio, is that true? Is Guardian the #1 Ash Forest class?
No. Succession Striker is what everyone tells me is super good.
Well, he's been buffed. I'm not sure where he sits. I thought he was weaker than Guardian Awakening, but he might be
I
stronger.
don't know. I like ask a lot. I mean, I don't have any experience. I haven't like grinded on these classes, but I'm asking people all the time for recommendations on what class is good, and usually it's Striker and Mystic because the mobs do magic damage. So those classes are the ones everyone talks about. I hear Wizards decent.
That's so goofy. They do magic damage.
Yeah, the big ones.
Okay, so
The
you know
one's
how
Lantern.
frustrated you get when I talk about Sork, when you complain about it, right?
I have a 61
Awaken-
Guardian.
Awaken Guardian is not the best grinder or even close by a pretty large margin. It is an easy grind. And
Well-
we suck. Awaken Guardian sucks in PvP unless it's large scale and you are gear carried. Okay? When you're in a smaller, even medium scale, or even an RBF, shit gets weird. You have to know how to use that kit real good. And it's mostly the pre-awaken kit, not the awaken kit, okay?
Well, I'm
So-
talking about PvE. The PvP is a different discussion, and I
You
think that's
that
fair.
the awaken PvE on Guardian needs to be nerfed?
Potion balances everything around Akhman, and since Guardian can go to Akhman 15 AP sooner than some other classes, it needs to be nerfed.
Low end grind spots is not a relevant conversation because everybody just goes around as a casual at low end grind spots. It's not a relevant conversation at low end grind spots. So PvE only matters when you're talking about high end grind spots, which is History, Akhman, Sakraya, Starzin, and Ash Forest, and Pax Island, and then Abandoned Monastery. And at those grind spots, I don't think it's a faster clear speed class, but it's a higher AP scaling class. I just think that every class should be able to go to History and Akhman at the same AP and be viable. History, Akhman, Stars, and
Awaken
Sakraya.
Guardian's definitely A tier, but I just don't think it needs nerfs. They've already done what they needed to do that class. They should leave it alone and buff underpowered classes.
It's upper middle class at best, dude. It's just easy on boomer hands. That's why I played. I can talk to chat, but I'm not going to get 6,000 trash per hour at 289 Kudum at Star's End. unless I like go 5,000 frames per second and have 70 energy drinks, and that's all I do is try to do that. Where other classes can probably just shit that out because they play it all day long.
So here's an example of what here's an example of why I think what needs to change about Guardian. So Guardian 215 AP makes 7,000 trash on Akhman. You've heard me say this before. All right, another class can't make that until like 261 Kudum. And so I don't think, but Guardian at 261 Kudum can't just pull in like 12,000 trash at two. You know, Guardian caps out at like basically 9,000, 10,000 trash, where other classes like Musa and Lawn and everything can pull up to like 12,000 trash or 11,000 trash at Akhman, depending on how they're doing it. So like at high, when you're talking about super high AP and you're over geared for the grind spot, Guardian falls behind. But when
here's the deal though, like every single one of these classes, like all these people are making way less money than they would if they just went and fucking did life skills anyway. Like who cares about how good Akhman is? It's not even good.
It's because people shouldn't feel like they picked the wrong class. When you play a class, you shouldn't feel like you picked the wrong class and you have to reroll. Like it's the same thing why they need to make Awakening and Succession roughly equal in PvE, because you don't want people to say, I like the Awakening, but I play Succession because it's just statistically better. You want them to say, well, it's close enough and I enjoy the Awakening more, so I'm going to play the Awakening. And that gives players the freedom to play the game they want, which makes the game more fun. And if you happen to enjoy Guardian, you shouldn't be punished when you're overgeared for a grind spot and grinding at the grind spot. You should make the same amount of trash that most other classes are making, or at least comparable. And the same thing is true when Guardian is underpowered, or I mean, when she's undergeared for a grind spot, she should be pulling the same trash that other classes are pulling when they're undergeared, so that you don't feel like you're picking the wrong class as a new player. The most efficient way to grind in PvE as a new player is to
2-minute timer expired yet?
is to pick Guardian if you're just trying to be min-maxy, and I hate that feeling that you
but like if you're trying to be min-maxy, you shouldn't even be doing any grinding until you're like fucking 280 AP.
We're just talking about exclusively PvE, assuming the player enjoys.
I know, but
PvE.
like who cares? Like, I mean, am I wrong here? Like, who cares about low-end grind spots?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a min-maxing player and you're gonna cry because you picked the wrong class, then Bile's right. You should be life skilling anyways. Like, you're not gonna make more money until you have enough, until you have like 269 Kudum AP anyways to compete with life skilling. So like, why does it matter if a low AP Guardian can do well at Akhman? I'm also like, I'd like to see the video of the 215 AP Guardian pulling 7k trash. That seems like perhaps a bit of an exaggeration.
I'll go put some gear on my Guardian, and I'll have to learn to play it, I guess. But
yeah, it's been 2 minutes. What's next?
I'll do it.
True. Yeah, so anyway, Awakening buffs. Were there any classes that we didn't talk about? We talked about Witch, Wizard. We talked about Ninja a little bit, and Sork. Were there any others that you guys want to mention before we move on?
Musa got some buffs. I don't know if it's enough, but
Crust Crusher got a huge buff. Let me see what that was for Crust Crusher.
They just need to rework Musa top to bottom. They keep trying. It's just a bad class.
So they added 2 additional hits to Crust Crusher for PvE, which I think is actually a significant increase in damage. I'm not sure what its hits were before, but it said there's 2 more, and so that should increase its damage by a significant margin on that.
Did you disappear on purpose?
You don't have... Yeah, he did. The flow for it, I don't think is affected, which is why a lot of people like using on it. And in the other abilities, I'm not sure. I think Foul Play is one that Musas use a lot, and that got increased by 50% damage increase.
I think Foul Play is the flow for Crust Crusher, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't have them all memorized.
Here's what they need to do to fix Musa. They need to just make Crosscut do quadruple damage in PvE. Boom! I fixed the class.
Let's see. Were there... Kuno got changes in here, but I don't know if about Kuno to know if they're relevant or not. I mean, it looks pretty decent. I don't know how to judge it though.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there that looks really good, but without having someone who actually plays those classes regularly and testing them, it's going to be hard to judge on paper if they've evened them out or not.
So this was a stab at just making Awakened classes better in PvE mostly, right?
Yeah. Yep. One thing I realized is that Sorceress, her 3-minute buff gives you 100% crit rate, which is like the main reason why you pop it. That's the only combat buff you have on it. All the other ones are like defensive buffs, like don't get CC'd and stuff. So they added 50% violation crit on PvE. It's only PvE. So now there's no reason to pop your 3-minute buff basically ever, because you have almost 100% crit rate 24/7 regardless. So you never pop your 3-minute buff. It's just a waste of time to pop it now. So I felt like that was kind of a misplay, because now you just basically invalidated an entire skill because you made 50% crit rate on violation. So I hope they remove the 50% crit and then they add more damage to violation to compensate for that loss. That way you can actually pop your 3-minute buff and still feel like you're getting meaningful impact out of that. For PvE, that is. For PvP, it's still awesome, but that's the only thing I had to say about that.
That's 30 seconds out of 3 minutes, so the other 2 minutes and 30 seconds are buffed by violation having this crit buff on it. So I don't think it invalidates it. You still have a higher crit rate when you pop your E buff. And then for the other 2 minutes and 30 seconds of your rotation, you have a much higher crit rate. So I don't know why it'd be hard on that.
Well, violation is your primary damage skill. It's like 75% of your damage. You're just going to rotate that over and over and over again.
I'm aware of that. So, for 2 minutes and 30 seconds of grinding, you have a great crit rate.
I don't know if the trade-off really makes sense. I don't feel like I popped it a couple times and tried it out this week in Sakraya. And I just didn't feel it. I just didn't notice it like I used to.
Okay.
But maybe it's fine. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm not the best PvE Sork. I played a lot in PvE, but I'm not the best one. So maybe there is something more we can learn about that. Maybe other people disagree with me. I think that's it for the regular patch. Was there anything else in there? Any events this week that we got that you guys want to talk about?
I'm trying to think what else we had.
It's that event with the artifact of the Dark Unknown. What's going on with that?
That happened, I think, last week.
I don't think we talked about it. Is that good?
You turn it in. No, it's not that good.
It's just extra world boss loot, isn't it? Or is that a different one?
It's a different one. So Artifact of the Unknown is for Succession and Awakening Hashin coming out. The rewards for it are the average rewards are like 2 to 3 memory fragments, 2 to 3 sharps or hards, ancient spirit dust, black gem fragments, 5 to 10, and then I don't know, the best loot out of this is like a tongue grad belt, like tongue grad accessories.
So the RBF event is definitely great, and I think instead of making it event, it should be the way it always is. RBF is still undervalued. Somebody in my chat earlier this week asked me what's the rewards for PvP, and it's like getting cold gamer words and some pocket change, basically.
Getting 3-day bans.
So I think anytime that they can stomach to actually incentivize PvP, they should not make it an event and just keep it in the game forever.
My fear for PvP is that at some point it becomes the reward for PvP in my mind should be fun. That should be the reward. And if you ever have to alpha a carrot in the stick, then you get Shadow Arena. And Shadow Arena, like, you had people who did it because the carrot was really huge, and then they made a whole standalone game by itself, and there was some fun to be had in Shadow Arena, but it just forced the players who didn't want to do Shadow Arena into doing Shadow Arena anyway. And it's always been my fear, and I'm not opposed to them adding rewards like this event for the seals and everything for it. I think that's fine. My fear, though, is that they will it just becomes to the point where people just feel like they have to do it, and it becomes a Shadow Arena 2.0 type deal.
I mean, to be fair, like, people who are good at making money were wasting their time doing Shadow Arena too. Like, it's only like new people and people who can't do math that like thought Shadow Arena money was good.
I mean, Shadow Arena was good if you were placing top 10 every single match and winning like 20-30% of the time, but there weren't that many players who could actually pull that off.
I was playing, and even if you were, like, you weren't making nearly as much money as someone who was Sea Monster Hunting or Underwater Gathering, which were super meta at that time.
Yo, Sea Monster Hunting was exploding. I never did any of that.
Okay, well, Underwater Gathering then. Like I love
true.
Shadow Arena. I did a ton of it, but like every hour I spent doing that, I was losing like 200 mil versus what I would have made if I'd actually tried to make money.
Yeah, it
In
was
Potion, that's the same logic that devs use to not balance things like Gyfin, because they continuously say that they don't want people to feel like they have to do group content in order to be viable, which is why they refuse to make group content even remotely good. So, I don't know.
Well, I
Yeah.
think there's a big difference there between content that like look at League of Legends, right? If you had to be given like there's no reward that they give you, right? I mean, you can make progress on like you're leveling up your account or leveling up a character or something, but you don't get any like long-term progression on each individual match that you carry from match to match to match. And I feel like the reward there is always PvP. The win is the enjoyment.
It's
So-
a MOBA though. An MMO has to have progression. You're not going to play a game like BDO and just go gather or grind for fun. Like there's always got to be a reward at the end of what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think, I agree with that. And I think the current Red Battlefield crystals are a good example of that. Like the way to get the best the best PvP crystals should be PvP, right? You do PvP, you earn the best PvP crystals in the game through PvP. I think that makes a lot of sense to me. And if you don't want to do PvP, then it doesn't matter because you're just going to do regular game stuff anyway and earn the best PvE crystals by doing PvE. So I think having some exclusive PvP rewards like that for Red Battlefield crystals is a good example of how that works, and that's why I think this event is actually pretty good. I think I put a little bit too much I don't know, I'm too much of a Debbie Downer on this one, but I actually enjoyed. I think this is a good change. I don't think this is a bad change.
Oh, we missed the biggest change in the patch, you guys.
What was it?
There's now a marketplace in Shikatu.
Oh shit.
Wait, what?
You can access the market from Shikatu.
Hasn't that always been
So-
a thing?
No.
No,
Man, if they're giving 50 dust per day for RBF, I really thought Potion Shop was gonna love that. I'm kind of surprised, honestly.
This actually like sleeper OP for like the handful of us who bought inventory in Valencia when it was tied to Shikatu. I have like 159 slots there. I'm gonna go put accessories there or something.
wait, why?
Blade Bow Quest.
Why put accessories there? Because I'm trying to enhance accessories right now, and they're clogging up my storage. And I already have like all of Duvenkroon full of accessories. I need more
Jeez.
storage now.
I couldn't imagine running out to shop.
You're gonna yank them out of the central market and put them in Shikatu storage.
Yeah, I'll put an alt in Shikatu. I'll take like 100 Latents and I'll stuff them in that storage. And then when I need the Latents, I'll log into the alt and I'll put them back from the storage into the central market.
Fill up
Pull 'em out on my
Calpheon
moon.
and Drigan and everything else.
You play a completely different game than anybody else.
I mean, Calpheon and Drigan and all those other places
Oh.
are filled with like actual like I don't know, like cooking and alchemy and shit.
I got
But
confused.
Drigan, I already have 159 slots in Shikatu from when I bought the shared storage for Valencia. So now I can take advantage of that. That's pretty cool.
Yo, I was confused. I have to apologize. I thought it was Muakun or how you say it. That's one has had a trader in it for a long time, a central marketplace for a very long time.
How'd you confuse Miquin and Shikatu, bro?
Listen,
You
all
even
right,
voted
my brain works in mysterious ways. I don't understand it sometimes.
Same.
But yeah, so that's why I was confused. That's interesting. I am curious. I wonder if that'll have any impact on like selling figs because
have
figs.
absolutely no impact on anything.
Well, because you harvest figs there, right? And so a lot of people don't ever transfer their figs because it takes too much effort. So now people can just get their figs there, which is one of the best nodes in the game, and they can just sell them directly to the marketplace. I actually wonder if that's had an impact on the fig market.
You can transfer 75,000 figs per trip with the wagon. It's not hard to move your figs.
How do you think? How many think people know that? I didn't know that.
I moved over 1 million figs to Heidel a couple months ago. It wasn't that hard. If you have a lot, you can just put them on a horse.
What else is affecting the fig market?
Dude, the fig market is fucking lit.
It's the best node. It's one of the best nodes in the game for anyone who does.
Pretty much the only reason I was able to afford a Pen Blackstar was because of the fig market.
Wait, it is lit.
Yeah, it's been lit for a very, very long time.
What the fuck?
Oh yeah.
I forget what you need it for. There's some cooking recipe that everybody uses it for.
Fig pie.
Well, obviously fig pie, but fig pie goes into something else.
Valencia meal.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
Valencia.
okay.
And it's used on
yeah.
its own for gathering.
The meal that's named after the region where the figs are. That's the one.
But yeah,
Global, please. Please.
I don't know how to respond to that. I feel like I should just like tell you guys to stop it, but
Stop what?
I don't know. You guys actually know what I'm talking about. We can move on to Global Lab. One of the things I thought was really cool on Global Lab this week was they actually made drying faster this week. So you can actually dry in the desert faster than other places, which I think the RP value of that is really good. And I'm really curious about how much faster drying in the desert actually is, because it has to be really good for it to be worth my time to go out there to do some processing. I mean, I don't do it anyway a whole lot, but maybe gotta process that cheese and drying, and I don't know.
Yeah, processing milk like overnight into cheese.
That could
putting
honestly
out in
be pretty
Valencia?
good. Like it's
How full is your inventory right now if you do cheese overnight? Is there a lot of extra space?
cheese is
You mean
super
your weight
lightweight.
limit?
Yeah.
I never have enough milk to get overweight.
You're not doing big enough supply. You gotta think bigger. Because
You got to do like one serious cheese expedition a month or something.
So
I don't know.
I did a lot of thought on this, and Biohack has done the math on this a long time ago. But you do Valencia Mills, and you come out milk positive on Valencia Mills in like a huge way. And you basically keep on doing Valencia Mills until you have enough milk to basically process it all into that you need for your Belnos Mills. And that's basically how you funnel your how you get all your milk.
I'm not gonna set myself
and
up for
it's
deals, man. It's crazy.
And then basically you right now, since buying stuff at the market, you could buy at the marketplace, do marketplace PvP for it, have secondary accounts, and like buy and sell to yourself for extra like min-maxing profit, trimming extra silver off. I think doing it with 2 accounts would be like the go-to way for it. But I'm too lazy for that, and so I just have my workers gather it, and then basically, and like every 6 months, I'm just going to do a whole bunch of Valencia Mills and a whole bunch of Belnos Mills, and I'll be good for a while. You can almost be. I think you can be self-sufficient if you're making your own that way. But yeah, that's the idea though with the milk, is that you do your Valencia Mills to get all the milk you need for your Belnos Mills, and then you don't have to worry about even you don't have to pre-order milk hardly. I don't think you have to pre-order any.
I have 2 characters that are dedicated, that have artisan gathering, that are dedicated to milking cows, and I do it every 3 or 5 days.
Do they still have that mechanic where rain will mess up your drying, right? So is it just never going to rain in the desert anymore?
I mean, the chance of it raining in the desert is super low. It's different from other places. It's super low.
Because I remember trying to dry at like Sandgrain or something and still getting cucked by rain. Maybe I was just unlucky.
Yeah, it's still a thing though. That's still a thing.
I never have that problem when I'm like, does it matter if you're like, I do all my drying in Calpheon, and I've never been interrupted or not been able to dry like at Calpheon Bank. Does it matter if you're like indoors?
No, I tried going in my house and drying, and it was still, even though I was in that house.
Used to work back in the day. You used to be able to go underneath the roof and continue drying, but they did some patch a while back where they don't distinguish between any place, whether in the whether in the like in the house or not, or underneath the roof. And I don't know when that changed, but there was like, I remember distinctly when I first started playing the game that I could dry. I was trying to dry in the rain and it didn't work. And then I figured out if I went underneath the roof over by the Heidel storage keeper, that I could actually dry underneath his little roof there, and I would just be drying there by this by the storage keeper underneath his roof. But at some point that changed. I'm not really sure what happened.
I don't know. I remember way back when processing cost energy, I would have to open the map and look at where there was rain circles so that I could go and stand like outside of the circle of rain on the map to do my drying so that I could get like tough hide for Gruntle or something. It was an adventure, dude.
Was that when you were doing the what was it? You're doing tough hide for Grunil?
Yeah, dude.
You
the
had a whole
market.
Grunil factory running on that.
Oh yeah.
Technically,
running that
Grunil is still like, it's not worth your time to actually pull it in and out of the bank. But if Grunil was stackable, like it would still be worth doing. If Grunil was stackable, the whole problem is right now having to put one in the bank at a time.
Yeah,
and
it's
like,
the inventory.
Yep. If it wasn't for the inventory management on it, it would be worth it.
It's kind of a problem with workshops in general.
Yeah, Silver and Border Close has the same exact problem. It would be worth it in most cases, but the inventory management and then everything just makes it where it's really like you got to be on top of your game to make it even close to worth it. The technically the silver you make on it's interesting, but compared to other nodes and stuff, I don't know. I just can't be bothered to do it as.
Yeah, the nice thing about nodes is you just leave them for months and months, and then you have a
Yep.
big stack of figs. You can't do that with Gruntle. Anyways,
the other thing that they did on the Global Lab that was interesting is they're starting to take feedback from individual servers. So what they did this week is they made it where there's a KR only Global Lab, and they're taking feedback from Korean players, and then they're going to do it with other servers later on. So eventually there'll be one that'll be, you know, if you're a I don't know, maybe you're an NA player and only NA players can log in and give their feedback. Then maybe there'll be an EU one and only EU players can give their feedback, and they're going to rotate it around, getting unique feedback from each region. And it's an interesting idea. I feel like that should just be built more like a built-in game system where you have like a questionnaire that you answer, and then it just goes back to Pearl Abyss.
Yeah.
That'd be like that's what RuneScape does. They ask you questions like, what kind of content would you like to see? What do you like? What do you not like? I think the Global Lab is such a roundabout way of something you could just do by just adding an easy Q&A system inside the already existing game for every server.
Isn't EU not able to have Global Lab for privacy law reasons? So are they just never going to give feedback?
They have to. They have to change policies, but yes, it's possible for them to get on there. Not through the traditional means, but like people have gone there before, like Anfield. You have to give your consent directly to Kakao Games to hand your information over to Pearl Abyss. And so all they have to do is have like a little checkbox that says, do you consent to give your information or whatever? And then it would give the blessing for Kakao to do that, but they don't want to do that because it's too convoluted. So it is possible for that to happen. In the current state, though, no. EU players cannot get on Global Labs easily, anyway.
I don't know. I feel like there's an abundance of feedback in this game already. The issue is how they filter the feedback. Like people have lots of opinions that they can offer through the forums or through Reddit or whatever. Like this is already happening in abundance. The issue is like who's the person reading that feedback and how are the devs responding to it. If we have devs that don't really like play the game, then they're not going to understand what's behind the feedback in the first place.
True.
Like they've ever cared about NA feedback or ever will care about it.
I think they do to some extent, but I feel like because it's coming through Kakao Games, I feel like that is like an extra barrier. It's like you're playing the telephone game, and every link you add to the telephone game, it just gets worse. And so I think this just makes it a lot harder to get that feedback. Even if they did care, I think it just makes it harder.
Yeah, and the guy that was doing the weekly or does the weekly meeting didn't care about his job for a straight, like 3 years straight. So.
It does seem like anyway that this kind of shows us at the very least that Pearl Abyss is taking a higher level of interest in player feedback, even if it doesn't come back to NA and EU regions. We've already seen this on class balancing. They had top level Korean players for each class give feedback on classes, and that honestly has gone pretty well so far. It's not been perfect, but it's way better than what Pearl Abyss did for 3 years.
I kind of feel like they should be doing more of that though, rather than this like mass questionnaire shit. However, that's going to work. I just don't see how that gets them any meaningful. They should be putting together like focus groups of players who have been around for a long time, who have deep knowledge of a certain life skill or a certain class or whatever. Like they should be cultivating feedback from those people. And maybe the community can like vote on those representatives or something, but I just don't think you should be getting mass feedback from everyone in the game. Like, how are you possibly going to parse that?
I mean,
in EVE Online, they have like there's like a system of representatives that are players, and the players essentially like elect the player representatives that go and like have meetings with the company and stuff, and like serve to give the company feedback and all that kind of stuff, and like act in the interest of the players. And there's sort of these, it's like, I don't know, very prestigious to get elected into that position.
Yeah.
Something like that would be really cool if we had it.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. I'd never get on there, but neither would you probably either, Tim. But it'd be awesome. We could get Morlin on there for us. We could get all of our guys to vote for Moro. He'd get on there, or Bio, Dr. Bio.
Yeah, but we don't. I mean, I don't like. Yeah, I mean that's fine. Like we don't need every single person giving them their feedback. We need a select group of people, especially people who understand this. Like, here's the thing, and the developers probably play this game as well as the average Pepega. We don't need the Pepegas giving them advice. Like, we need people who understand like the implications of what they're doing to the game at a high level, whether that's siege content or the economy or whatever.
Now, Tim would get on there for sure if they're talking about siege. That would be worth it.
Listen, none of us would get on there because none of us are in Snake. Okay.
I really do. I'm actually really disappointed that Snake has such a big influence on the feedback that Pearlbliss listens to. All right, I'm very disappointed that Pearlbliss takes that so seriously.
I also would speak in the context of feedback. It does feel like they're trying to be more communicative with us recently. Did you read that thing on like their explanations for all the Mystery of Summer stuff, Potion Shop, and like their logic behind it? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I haven't read it yet. They do that. They did it last year, or they've done it every year. They did the first year. They did an interview only in Korea, and then the second year they translated it and also released it everywhere. So they've done it every year for Mystery Summer. I do agree that I do feel like they have a higher level of clarity and communication that they've been missing. Like, I mean, you just look at the patch notes. They always have that blue text in there. It says dev note, and sometimes they're stupid, but at least they're like it's the correct direction, right? It gives you a little bit of insight behind the Vel, even if they are silly sometimes and like doesn't make any sense. At least we kind of have like a little bit of insight there, and I do feel like they are doing better at that.
I feel like at least they're like kind of recognizing that at least they should be, and they're putting some effort.
It feels like we're finally having a conversation.
Did they say something specific about Mystery of Summer this year?
They did like a breakdown of like every single hint and like what their logic was behind why they did it that way. And
did they make sense after they explained them?
Yeah, kind of. Like they like apologized for the duck thing, and then they were saying like we wanted it, like the reason they had it like be essentially like you had to like enter this code on the website and get the item was like they didn't want it to be data mined, and that's why they did it that way. I mean, I felt it was reasonable. I also was like, this is my first time doing Mystery Summer, and I was not like salty or angry about it. I had a good time and thought it was pretty fun. So I don't know, but it's just
were you in
my
top
personality.
10? Did you get in?
I think I was number 1, but we didn't get a list. I was definitely in top. I was definitely in top 10 because I got the first set of hints. I think I was the first. Both me and my guildie who turned it in right after me were in the group A. Probably number 1, but I really wish I could have found out.
What about the process afterwards, like the hints to get the ring itself? Do you feel like that was fair? Do you feel like their reasoning made sense?
The hints were really easy on NA. Yeah, I felt like it was basically RNG. Like figuring out what the hints were referring to was really simple. It was just whether you were the guy to like run to the right location and find the spot. I didn't feel like it was hard to figure the hints out. They were actually really, really obvious.
I got hunted by Snake for the entire time, so that was my experience.
Oh yeah, I did too. Snakes were being like total fucking assholes. I had them like literally using the fucking Black Market guy to like hunt my characters down, and I just did it all on a low level alt to make it not a problem. But they were literally like because I was switching between different alts that I'd parked in all the different cities though, trying to figure it out, and they would like show up and just follow me around trying to kill me. They were like being total fucking cunts about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad they did the feedback on that. I think that's good. I hope that they have some lessons learned. It's just I think it's the same guy every year who like designs Mysteries of Summer, and I feel like every year they've made progress towards a better Mysteries of Summer. Obviously every time you do it, since there's not very many of them, you find new issues as well. But I feel like this year was the closest year we've had to a fun Mysteries of Summer. Despite if it wasn't for if they just took off the last part of Mysteries of Summer, the final type in the code thing, I would have said this was like a 9 out of 10, right? So yeah, really, really good. T10 horses, Moro. It's your time to shine.
Okay, so apparently they've made this a little bit better, but I've been following this T10 horse thing, trying to get good translations, trying to figure out what the deal is. I was super excited about the prospect of T10 horses, and it looked like they had a bunch of interesting stuff that you were going to have to actually do yourself. Like you couldn't just buy everything on the market, although some of the stuff you can. And then when it actually drops in KR, one of the materials that you need is gated by a weekly quest. And you need a ton of these materials. So it comes out to basically you have to do like 3.5 weeks of weekly quests to make an attempt that's hard capped at 3%. So
no.
Yeah, so you're time gated. It doesn't matter how much effort you put into it. You were time gated to make 3% swings on something, and like basically it just meant that the average player it was going to take you years to actually get the thing, and so none of the other materials, none of the other activities that you had to do even mattered. Now, apparently on Global Lab, there is another update where there's like a daily quest that you can do as well for this material, so you can make the attempts like maybe every couple weeks now, or instead of every 3 weeks. I don't know how much better it is. Honestly, having any kind of daily quest or weekly quest be part of the materials just seems annoying as shit to me. I don't know why they're so obsessed with that kind of thing. I wish you could just go do the work and like put as much effort into it as you want to put, and get the materials and make the attempts. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like they're making it a little bit better on Global Labs, so there's that. But that just totally, like, when I saw how bad the process was actually going to be to get a T10, it just completely took the wind out of my sails, because that was like something that I was really excited to go for, and then it was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll get one in 2 years maybe.
I'm so tired of the dailies and the weekly quest, man. They've been slathering them on thick. Every new content has dailies and weeklies, I'm just tired of it.
Yeah, I don't play World of Warcraft for that reason. Like, I don't want to be time gated for stuff. Like, that's why I play like sandbox style MMOs. So it sucks that they're putting mechanics like that in this game. It was the same thing with the like merchant ring piece for the rifts until they added paddocks. So hopefully they'll fix it. But
yeah, I mean, you can look at they've been doing a lot of things. Like they did like season 1, they did the daily quest, and season 2 they don't have that. So that's good progress right there in my book. Like another thing that they have is you have the Karak takes about 2 months of dailies to do, and there's no way to grind it faster.
Why I quit barbering.
Yep, I didn't want to do that either. I got to Caravel and realized I had to do 2 months of dailies. It's like, peace, I'm out.
Exactly the same thing. I got the Caravel, I got some gear for it, and then I was like, oh, what's next? 2 months of dailies. Okay, well, back to grinding.
Yeah, and I like the grind. Like the grind, I don't mind. Like maybe if I could charge up my dailies and I could stack up to like 30 of them and I could do them all at once, that would be cool. Have some type of, stack them up over time. That'd be nice. And like have like maybe as a log reward, and then just have like a coupon. I could go and take all 30 coupons to the guy and do this quest 30 times. I would enjoy that. Because the goal is to get me to log in every day, right? That's the goal. The goal is to get me to log in every day. So if I log in every day, reward me with, let me get a coupon so I can go do it as many times. Let me stack it up. Let me stack that Aggress Fever up infinitely, maybe. Let me stack my energy up 5 times higher, possibly. I don't know. I mean, there's things like they can do where you can still have a daily element to it, but you get to do the daily element on your own time, right? Maybe you want to play the game. Maybe you want to play Shadowlands for a month, and you want to come back and then catch up on all your dailies you missed. But you've been logging into BDO every day. because the whole goal is to keep you playing BDO, and I get that. Like you, as a company, they need to keep their players invested in playing their games so they don't quit. And I understand that, but I don't like the dailies as a solution to that problem.
So, are you discouraged from going after a T10, Marlon? Are you like gonna?
I mean, I'm not even going to bother if it's the current system. Like, why would I? I mean, I guess I might make one attempt a month since that's what I'm hard capped at anyways. But like, that's not exciting. It's not going to keep me. It doesn't make me want to play more BDO. Why would I want to play more BDO when I can only make one swing a month? Like, it's not going to be hard for me to get enough material for one swing. So I don't need to play a whole month to do that. So, like, all the excitement, all of, if you could just log in and get the materials for the T10, I'd be playing like 14 hours a day, training horses and doing Lakiaros and whatever other random shit I have to do to get those materials. I would be going super hard on it. But in its current state, it's like, okay, I play for a few hours. I've got everything I need for one attempt. I guess I'll see you guys in 3.5 weeks. Like, what's the excitement? What's the urgency? What's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I want to keep reiterating. It's like we're not asking for it to be easy. We're just asking for us to let me exchange my time to do the activity, right? Let me exchange my time for the item that I want, and if that takes 100 hours of actually like spending my time, or I could just wait and do daily or weeklies, and then it only takes me very little time. Like, let me have both those options. So maybe the most time efficient option is to do the weekly once a week, and then but if you wanted to, let me exchange 40 hours of my time to make that go faster, and maybe make 5 weeks of progress in 1 week. Let me exchange that time.
Imagine if they did this for other parts of the game. What if, like, every time you wanted to enhance a piece of gear, you had to go do like 15 daily quests? Like, everyone will just fucking quit. That'd be so dumb and boring. Like, just let us play the game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if it's going to come down to having these dailies like this, it's just going to make me be inclined to pick up a game like Path Exile. I'm like, all right, well, I did my daily. Let's go play some Path Exile. Let me go play some League of Legends or some World of Warcraft Shadowlands or whatever the new thing is. Because I mean, I'm done. I have my daily. It's easy, right?
It's lazy. It's lazy, and it doesn't actually get you hooked on the game. Like, the game should be able to stand on its own. If you're logging into the game just to check off your daily chores, then you're not really enjoying the game.
Yeah,
it's just, I don't know. It's one of those things. I don't know if like these devs are taught in like, I don't know if they're like taking classes at a university that's telling them to do this. I don't know why there's been this like explosion of daily quests in MMOs. I don't know where this logic is coming from, where it's like you have to have this in all fucking games now. It's such a cancer.
Well, the thing is like, even like when World of Warcraft had a lot of dailies, like people hated it and complained all the time, and they've moved away from that. So I think it's not coming from MMOs. I think it's coming from like the mobile genre.
I think it's just people are using outdated tactics. I think that the Korean gaming market hasn't updated to the relevant topics of today, and they're still going on based on old topics. So like back in the day, you would say, okay, we get login rewards because login rewards make people play the game more often. Does that actually work in today's standard? No. In today, you expect a season pass, and a season pass keeps people playing. That's what actually works in today's gaming environment. So that login rewards, they don't help people keep playing the game. The TINS rewards, where you log in and get those don't have good player retention. The daily quest used to be a way to keep people playing the game back when in World of Warcraft, a decade ago. But today, it's not relevant to today's gaming genre. So I feel like they're just using outdated tactics and listening to marketers or somebody who thinks that's relevant information, but it's outdated. I hope they change it, and I think there's enough feedback that's been negative in that direction that whenever they get some free time, they'll probably start thinking about that, because we see it. Season Pass doesn't have anymore. The Season 2 doesn't have anymore. So maybe we'll see this in the future. Maybe they'll stop doing this as much. It'd be nice. I think that's it for BDO stuff. Is there anything else in BDO you guys want to talk about?
Yeah. Where are we with time? I'm sorry, Marlon.
Oh no, go ahead.
I just real quick. We asked Biohack last week one thing that he'd like to see change from the game. If you could just wave a magic wand. And if you guys want to give like one or two, but I'm just off the top of your head. You know, if you've got something that you always say, I'd like to hear your second thing, Moreland, outside of just Lucky Arrows. But what's like the top 1 or 2 things that you want changed like today that would make this game so much fucking better? Do you have something besides UI, Biohack?
I'm sure I have a lot of things. I mean, like I think I mentioned it last time too. Like I'd love more like solo 1v1 PvP.
Right,
focus.
you did. You're right. Yep. Okay. All right. So we have UI, ranked arenas, basically. Moreland.
I mean, if it's just one thing, like it has to be the cash shop. I don't know how I could ever put anything above that. That's been by far the most detrimental thing to this game's health and to its growth.
You really think so?
Yes.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. I think this game. I think the cash shop is what held BDO back from being mainstream success. If you watch, like even now, when a big streamer like Soda comes and plays the game, his chat is just flooded. Every 2 messages
True.
in his chat is pay to win trash. Why are you playing this trash? Like there's so much negative attention on this game because of the cash shop, and it didn't have to be that way.
Yep.
Okay. I always thought that it was the perception of pay to win versus what it actually was, because we were all scared as fuck, right? Of literally estimate. And I think we were all in Aftershock when we were allied with or fighting against Estimate's guild, Camel, at the time. And it wasn't a big fucking deal. Like we'd see Estimate, he'd get grabbed and then he'd die just like anybody else. So I guess from being on the inside of it, to me, I don't really see... I don't watch Soda Poppin' when he plays BDO because I know I'm just gonna have a cringe fest. But I feel like when you're inside the game, the cash shop you can spend $100 a month, you can spend 50, you can spend 20, you can spend 10, and you can still have a reasonable amount of time. But you do have to spend something. But I guess as far as the reputation it's garnered,
Yeah, I think
it killed my
perception is-
enjoyment of the game too. It's not just a perception
yeah.
thing. I enjoy my progress in BDO way less because of the cash shop. Before the cash
Really?
shop became what it was, I was so fucking serious about progressing in this game. I was min-maxing every aspect of nodes and life skilling and grinding. I was constantly switching strategies every month to stay on top of everything. And as soon as that bullshit came out where you could just like start extracting costumes for Cronstones, I knew it was over. Like not all the enjoyment, but I would say 50% of the enjoyment of progressing in this game was just dead from then.
I'm surprised it took that long. For me, Artisan, like when Artisan Memory came out, I like strongly thought about just quitting the game. And then I was like, all right, well, I'll just play this game and not give a shit about making gear progression anymore. And I'll just play for life skills. And that's why I did trading for like 3 years. I just didn't like, who cares about progression when someone else can just buy everything you've done?
Yep.
It like if you're only worried about like PvP strength, but it's not about PvP strength. It's about the prestige. Like my account would be so fucking cool if there wasn't any pay to win in this game, because I've done it with a relatively low spend. But there's so many people who are at or near my gear level because they've spent, 6 figures on the game, or 5. If that wasn't a thing, seeing players with 300 plus AP would be very rare, and it would be a lot more impressive if you had it.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. I still enjoy it.
This is my.
Oh, please go ahead.
Yeah, but this is why I used to be a hardcore player, and I today I don't consider myself a hardcore player. Like people who say they're taking the game seriously, like I just, compared to what BDO was when it first came out, like I worked a full-time job, 40 hours a week, and played BDO 60 hours a week. Like I literally did nothing but play BDO. It was back in like World of Warcraft Classic days. Like that was the type of like invested I was in the BDO at that time. Like I did all my free time was invested into the game. And after they added where you could sell costumes onto the marketplace, that's when I quit. I quit for about 4 months. And when I decided I would eventually come back, because I beat all their games I wanted to play and I was kind of bored, but I decided I was going to come back and be a casual player for the rest of the time that I played BDO. And I've had my moments where I've tried a little harder than normal, but I've continued to be a casual player the entire time, because it's just, it doesn't have that same investment to me. It doesn't have it. It's like there's not as much investment from guilds. It's not as much investment in open world. The pay to win makes it where my progress doesn't mean as much. I can't. Being a geared player doesn't mean anything when someone else can swipe their credit card in a few months be caught up.
All right, Potion.
My change,
Yeah.
I actually really, really would change PvP. That's my change I'd do. I would change AP brackets to monster AP brackets, and because you did that, you would have to rebalance healing because healing would be overpowered, and those would be that'd be a change I'd make if I had to pick one.
So you just reduce damage by a shitload? Is that what you mean?
Yep, it basically reduces damage by a shitload by turning AP brackets into monster AP brackets to keep PvE balanced, and then that would inherently break all healing abilities because you would heal faster than you could deal damage to somebody. So you'd be forced to rebalance healing. You'd have to do it at the same time. If you did one without the other, then both of them would break the game. So you have to do both of them at the same time.
Did you PvP a lot during the pre-awaken plus 15 days?
Oh yeah, I've grinded sauce since 2,400 hours. Like I PvP'd every single day. Like every single day, like there'd be a 5-man group at main rotation. I was the highest level sorceress on was it Orwin? Was that the server? I forget what they were
No,
called.
you weren't on Orwin. You were on Eden with Barcode.
No, I wasn't on Eden.
Barcode was Uno.
Uno. I'm sorry, you guys were Uno. That's right.
I was Orwin. Yeah, I was on Orwin. We had Veritas was on there, and
Oh yeah, you were
Luciform.
Orwin. That's right. Yeah, you and I were Orwin.
Yep, and then we had Blacker or something like that was one of the guilds, and then what was that other guild that was trying Flex, I believe?
It was just Black, and it was actually Winter's Guild from Vertex, if you remember. He was kind of a puppet master of Vertex.
I had so much fun though, because I was more geared than the vast majority of people, so I could solo main rotation, where most other people couldn't come close to doing that. And so I actually grinded level 60 solo on main rotation Sassans.
That's crazy.
And people would come up there and they'd like 2v1 me, and I had a fun time doing that. And I wasn't the best. I mean, Rangers always took a shit on me, and Wizards and Witches always took a shit on me. I mean, I wasn't that good, but I had a blast doing the open world PvP, and
So
I felt like it was fun.
You want to get rid of the AP brackets, or do you want to can we just put that under time to kill, maybe, just in general?
Yeah, I mean, if they had some other solution to time to kill, that would be fine.
Okay, so time to kill is the one change you would make. So we've got UI, we've got ranked arenas, we've got Lakiaro and the cash shop, and then we have time to kill. That's a really good list.
Grab a Sissels and a Centaur, or a Centaur and Invasion offhand. Then you fix just time to kill problem. Just FYI.
I know.
It's not quite that simple. Us plebs don't
really
have 2 trillion.
And I have to reel to another class too.
It'll help. Yeah. Sork isn't great. She can't do damage, but yeah. No, that is something I'm a little. Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's kind of a mess anyway at like high levels of gear where people spam like make unkillable comps, especially for the 1v1 arena. That's pretty toxic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, time to kill for low level brackets would be better for sure.
So I think for me, like my short-term thing is fixing organized PvP. I really missed, like there were some really, really, really high moments of organized PvP, both through Siege and the T1s, and they really fucking killed both of those. I mean, the community certainly, the T1 community was great, but the Siege community obviously turned the sandbox into a cat box. So just like as a short-term thing, I know they're working on some development, but I really think that they're completely lost, and we're about to see some really fucking awkward Hail Marys. So I'd love to see a reform to organized PvP in a way. There's some things that you shouldn't listen to the community about, but you should definitely listen to the community about what they want from organized PvP, because we have a pretty good track record of what we need or what we want. You know, we're on it with time to kill. We're on it with the HP system being bad, the penalty. You know, it was too hard to siege castles. Now it's too easy to siege castles. We're pretty communicative about that. And I think they need to really start paying attention to any of the, I mean, Korea speaks the right language. Listen to Korea. They've been in a worse spot with siege than we have for a long time. I think outside of that and time to kill, I think that's it. I think that's the list for me. If they hit those things, this game would be incredible. It'd be absolutely incredible. But I feel like they're slipping in the wrong direction, unfortunately, in a lot of ways.
I think a good to kind of back up your point there. You got to think what players play Siege, the best of the best, like the people who are the most hardcore players who had the
Well,
most
talk about
investment in
Node
the
Wars, too.
game. Well, I mean, even Node Wars, you're still talking about the top 10% of players in Node Wars. Even the majority of players quit before they get to level 56 or 60 or whatever it is, right? So. Even Node Wars are the caliber players are playing Node Wars. Those are a very high level of players. Like those are very serious players in the BDO
You
community.
don't have to be. I don't really want to dive into that conversation if you don't mind.
That's
I'd rather move on to. I want to know what you guys are working on. We all just kind of hit like really major plateaus. Biohack's a multi-trillionaire. I hit the AP bracket and DP bracket that I want. I've hit a lot of my goals. Organized PvP has kind of been ripped away from me and Moreland holistically. Potion Shop, you've just got a bunch of your gear back together. So we're all out here doing this grind, ostensibly because we're streamers and stuff. But like, what makes you wake up and play the game? What's your next goal? What do you really want to accomplish in this game?
I am getting a pin armor piece on Monday. That's my goal. I'm going to get it on Monday. Currently, at 15...
I kind of mean longer term than that, not just like I'm going to get another armor piece, but like what's like a long term goal? What do you really like playing this game for? What are you working towards?
If you're asking like motivation wise, it's just I stream because I want to provide good content for the community, and that's really my motivation to wake up every day. My motivation is wake up, provide good content for the streaming, like the community. Like, hey, they want to see Hashin, I provide Hashin, right? You want to see grind spots, you want to know grind spots, I give grind spots. You want to know live skilling, and that's kind of like my goal is just to be able to do whatever is viable in BDO at the time.
Okay.
So that's my core motivation is just to wake up and to stream and provide good content people want to watch. Now, as far as my personal goals, because otherwise I'm just bored, it's just basically get 300 AP and 400 DP so I can go to Ash Forest. And find a class that I enjoy to take there.
Okay, so you want 300 AP, 400 DP. That's your big long-term goal.
Yeah,
huh?
I'm 297 right now with Kudum, and my DP I can be if I actually pushed before the end of the year, I could be like 388 DP by the end of the year.
So for me, I want to get back to daily Guru turn-ins, Guru box turn-ins.
Nice, good money.
And I want to start grinding RBF points. I want to like really do RBF in a big way. I want to be on RBF leaderboards. Hopefully with my witch, but if I have to start over with my guardian, I'll do that too. But I'd have
Is
way
it per
more fun
character
doing
or
it on
per
my
account?
witch. It's per character. I think you get 1 point per kill, so it's a lot.
Yeah, it's 1 point per kill.
Yeah. I'm about 3,000 or 4,000 on my witch, which is a lot for as little as I played it. So I want to kind of just keep pushing that. And it's kind of a fun, casual thing. How about you, Biohack? What's your next after being a multi-trillionaire? What's
3
next for you?
trillion.
Someday I want to get a trillion silver worth of costumes, but that's not in the short term.
That's awesome.
Wow. I want to get a trillion silver worth of costumes and then have them buff them 50%. That's like my dream. But I want to get 30,000 quests done. That's like the big thing I spend all my time on in the game. I just hit 23,000 like 2 days ago. So yeah, I figure I probably get like 1,000 in a week. So I'm looking at like just under 2 months to finish that. And then Odalita's coming out, right? So Dead God is going to be on the
October 7th.
Yeah, so I want to get Tauros belt, Pen Tauros belt, and I want to get I'll go up to Dead God, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Have you decided how you're going to enhance Armor Dead God? Are you going to do it, push it day one or whenever you get it unlocked?
I'm still torn. I kind of just keep hoping that we get the cron market cleans up a little bit and I can pick up some more. I've probably got like 80-90 billion worth of crons right now.
Oh, I'll give you a secret information.
on that.
Maybe enough to get Dead God with like average luck. So I don't know. We just have to see.
We've got to have the Quran increase with Odalita, right? We have to.
Well, whenever they release a new update is when they add pay to win. It's every single time is whenever they add a new big update is when they add pay to win, and it's in that way every single time. So I expect that.
Maybe. I'm kind of thinking Christmas.
It's hard to guess because they already did it in other regions. It seems kind of random.
We're overdue. What about you, Moreland? What are you up to? You got that Pen Blackstar? What's next for Moreland TV?
Yeah, so I kind of burned down on gear progression. I think part of it is because, I was doing T1s and my gear didn't really matter anymore anyways. I need to find a reason to care about my gear. The Pen Blackstar was the biggest upgrade I'm, ever going to get in terms of like increments. And honestly, I don't know, like I can feel it when I'm PvEing, but it doesn't change the game a whole lot. Like it doesn't the buzz from grinding with a Pen Blackstar didn't quite pay off the way I wanted it to. So I need to find a T2 guild, or God forbid, get back into Siege. I don't know. I need to do something that's actually going to motivate me to care about my gear again. That's why I wish they would do some sort of battleground that was actually fun, because that's something, if there was like an Arathi Basin style map, that's something I could do all day and care about my gear and want to progress, etc. So I need to find a reason to actually care about my gear. If I can't do that, then one of the other things I'm really focusing on right now that's getting me kind of come here, kitty. That's getting me interested in the game again is getting everything working for this website that's coming out. So I'm really getting back to like deepening my understanding of cooking and alchemy and nodes and processing and everything else, like to a level of understanding that I used to have back when I was a lot bigger into life skills, like, a year ago.
Yeah.
And so just like really solving the game and getting really detailed like guides and just like min-maxing parts of the game that people have kind of figured out, but maybe not to that extent. I think that's what made me get hooked to BDO in the first place back in the day, was like really figuring things out at a high level. And I think I want to get back to doing that again.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy that with life skilling. Are you thinking about getting like a full Manos set and everything?
Yeah, I have a full Manos set that I made when Manos first came out. I just got sidetracked by Succession, and I haven't really done life skilling since.
Do you have like a soft cap one, or do you have like a big boy one?
I have almost full try accessories, and then I have various clothing and tools that aren't great, but I can fix that.
So tomorrow I'm going to be streaming, and I think I'm going to RBF the whole time. It's probably going to be on my Guardian because that's got the gear, even though I'm not that great on it. But I'm going to actually have a kill counter, and I'm going to stream all day RBF, just like 6 hours or something. And you're going to see how many kills I can get in like one session of just chaining RBF. So I don't know if you're interested in doing some RBF tomorrow, and maybe we can like set up a couple hours if you want to do a competition of how many kills we can get in RBF in a couple hours, if that interests you.
How do you count? Do you have like a macro that goes up every time you?
So did you ever do a Dark Souls death counter?
Yeah, but I just had my mods keep track. I never did the button.
Oh, well, there's a thing where you can hit a button and it goes up. So every time I get a kill, I'm going to hit a button and it goes up.
Yeah, I need to set that up.
Yeah, I need to set it up too. I can send it to you tomorrow morning.
The one that I use is DC plus SB. That's the name of the program. It's a very, very simple program. You can just download it.
DC plus SB?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's basically it just saves it in a text file. So then whenever you want to open it back up, it's just there.
Yeah.
So super easy. And then you can also just put it on your screen as well. Because you can read a text file from your OBS text and just read it from a file.
So might be a little more fun than just grinding Sakurai for the next AP bracket. I figured I'd grind some RBF points. There was one last BDO thing I wanted to ask. Back during the mapping drama, bear with me, Potion. I promise I'm not being super toxic. You made a comment about what exploiting was. And I think you made a comment that went pretty viral on Reddit about Biohack being an exploiter because of how he enhances.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, basically, the way that they decided to handle mapping, basically they just used the loose term, whatever is considered an exploit. Well, who determines what an exploit is? The game developers, and they can determine whatever they want to be an exploit. Well, if they're going to determine mapping to be an exploit, Biohack makes more silver an hour than the mappers who invested the time. So that could be considered the same thing. And I said that wouldn't be very fair because there's no way you can know what the developers are thinking. So without the clarification on it, There's no way you could clarify, whether biohack is, an exploit or not, or sea monster hunting. And they deem sea monster hunting not an exploit, and they eventually patched it out. But they deem mapping an exploit, and then they, obviously biohack is just enhancing for profit. It's not an exploit. Obviously. So like it's very convoluted overall the way that they're doing it. It's like sort of like whatever they want it to be, whatever they want to exploit. Today they wake up and they think exploiting is this. Tomorrow they wake up and it's that. It's just there's no way to feel safe. You fish in the rock and you get at a Termin Water Park and you get maximum fish rate, and then you get banned for that. All right, and all you did is you caught one extra fish an hour. I mean, it's not like where's the line get drawn?
Tim, why have you done this?
For the record, I understood Potion's argument, and when people would come to my chat and they'd be like, "Potion says you're an exploiter," I would say like, "No, that's not what he's saying. You guys don't understand the point he was trying to make." I never thought he was saying, and I still like people like Potion says you're an exploiter. I'm like, no, he's trying to he's making a point that what I'm doing is not exploiting. But if the developers are deciding arbitrarily what is and isn't an exploit, then they could decide that, and therefore we need consistency. I actually totally understood what you were trying to make, and I never thought that you were trying to say what I was.
Oh yeah, people. I asked my chat like, go find a clip from Biohack. I guarantee you Biohack understands this, and so like they found like 5 different clips and linked them to me. All of you like, yeah, like that's not what he was intending to say. That was not the intention behind the words he was saying. And like I was like, all right, well, as long as Biohacker understands, then there's no need for me to ever message him or talk to him about it because he already knows what I'm talking about. We're on the same page. So,
that's why I brought it up, Marlon.
Yeah, Reddit will be Reddit.
I just think it's funny. They took that so far out of context that you two are in the same room, and I can't believe I didn't bring it up last podcast. So. That's all. Let's do other games.
Yeah, so there's actually a ton of juicy MMO news and other news. So let's start off with the big one that everybody has probably heard of. Microsoft bought Bethesda. All right, that is the biggest news of the week in gaming. Hot takes. What do you guys think? What do you think it's going to mean for Microsoft, Windows PC, Elder Scrolls 6? What do you guys think? Elder Scrolls Online?
Does Microsoft do anything good when it comes to games? I don't know.
I think they managed.
Didn't they bring Phantasy Star to the West recently, and that's been pretty good as far as I know.
Good job. I think the thing is they are not a very good manager of game developers. So if a game developer is a bad game developer, they're not going to fix them. Like 343, not very good at developing games. But if they're already a good game developer, like ZeniMax or what is it? ZeniMax? Obsidian? I think it's Obsidian. Obsidian makes great games. And so they're going to continue making great games underneath Microsoft. And I think they've done a pretty good job recently because originally Microsoft used to put the thumb down from the overlords on all the companies, and they've really loosened up and let kind of the developers go in a good direction until they mess up. And then they
What's your example of that?
So 343 basically, or Bungie originally wanted to make a new game called Destiny, and then they couldn't, so they had to give the IP right of Halo to Microsoft in order to leave Microsoft and become a self-owned company again and go make their game they wanted to make, Destiny. 343 took that over, and the Microsoft overlords were putting their thumb down, and it was just they just had a terrible time, so they let the thumb off. 343, but the company still is the trash company. So it's just my example of basically, because I know I followed Halo for a long time. I know that unique situation, and I'm kind of extrapolating on that to assuming that all the other game studios that they run are similarly ran, right? Where if they're fucking up, they have a huge thumb on their shoulder, and if it's their prime Halo game or whatever, they're going to be more overlords than if you're just like a backwater studio that they own. They're going to let you be a little bit more free.
So who's the lead creator at Bethesda? Ron Howard or something? Is that his name?
He's not. Yeah, I think
Is he gone?
I imagine he's gone, which is probably a good thing. He probably just wanted a paycheck and gone. He's a CEO. He doesn't want to be a CEO for another CEO. He's probably just going to get hired by another company.
What's the last thing Bethesda did that was good? Fallout 4 was okay.
Uh,
76 is an abomination.
Well, 76 actually has been turned around. I think if you play 76 today, it wouldn't be a good experience or a bad experience. It'd just be a game, and you're like, okay, I had some fun, and
That's a
done.
failure, Todd Howard. That's a
Howard, yeah.
failure in my Ron Howard's Opie in a movie director. I don't, if you look at Microsoft's track record just holistically and what they do, and we've talked about Microsoft quite a bit on this podcast, where they use their capital to be able to kind of bully, if you will, marketplaces.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that with the console fight, Xbox versus PC, or I'm sorry, Xbox versus PS4, and PS4 having all these great games and support for games and being outsold wildly. I mean, even the Switch outsold the Xbox. If that matters to you or whatever the case is, it at very least is a barometer. Bethesda has been a struggling studio for a very long time, in my opinion, and I think the reason we haven't seen a Skyrim 6 is because I don't know if they're capable anymore. And so having a new overlord that is famous for doing what other companies do successful, just worse with more marketing and money behind it, I don't think that's what Bethesda needs. I think Bethesda needs a creative
A creative director that understands the gaming industry. I agree. I don't think this is going to be the solution for the Bethesda problem.
Good. No,
I don't think
good.
I think it's going to for Microsoft itself. I think branding wise, this is huge. They now have enough titles underneath their belt: Minecraft, Halo, Gears of War, all the Bethesda other titles, Fallout. All those belong to them now. That they're basically turned themselves into a Nintendo. Like they have enough brands now that they are a Nintendo. They can be exclusive on all those and just say, hey, you want to play Mario? You got to play on our console. You want to play Halo? You got to play on our console. You want to play Gears of War on our console? Fallout on our console? Elder Scrolls on our console? You want to play all these good games? And there's a lot more than that too. So
my only experiences with Microsoft have been, do you guys remember Games for Windows Live? Back in the Dark Souls 1 days, pre-Steam.
Yeah. Yep.
So Games for Windows Live was the worst thing that's ever happened to gaming.
Mm-hmm.
The interface was impossible. Playing with your friends was impossible. You would get disconnected from PvP matches about 100% of the time. It was pretty much just absolute trash in every way possible, and eventually they shut it down. My other experience with Microsoft is trying to play Sea of Thieves with my friend. And it was, I don't want to say it was as bad as Games for Windows Live, but it was close enough to where, I just hope that all the people who made that and forced me to use it to play Sea of Thieves get fired and are never able to find a job in the industry again, because
wow,
it's like I just can't understand how people could possibly fail that hard at their jobs and still get paid. It's fucking insane.
So I want to be so there's two takes on this. For the Microsoft side, it's huge for Microsoft, and for the gaming, I think this is good for gaming as a whole because it's going to force Sony to win on quality over what they've had in the past, which is just we're the big boy on the block. So I think it's going to make more competition in the industry, and it's going to actually be better. I think for Microsoft as a company, I have no faith in Microsoft in the long run, making Elder Scrolls 6 a better game than it was before. Halo a better game. Like Halo doesn't look interesting at all right now. I think that franchise has basically died as far as same for Gears of War. I'm not interested in any of those. I'm really interested in what Obsidian is making because Obsidian I think is a good game company, a good game dev company. So I'm really interested in their new game. What's it called? The one that looks like Skyrim. They made Fallout. They were the ones who made Fallout famous, and then they also have the new one that's like a Skyrim one. But anyway,
this isn't gonna make Sony do anything, dude.
No, I think this is one. Okay, so you gotta think about it from the perspective. All right, if you get Game Pass in the future, you're gonna get all these games for free, and so and then also you can get Game Pass with a console for $35 a month. You get a console and Game Pass, so you get hundreds of games, and you get the console for $35 a month until you paid for it all, which is an awesome deal for someone who doesn't want to spend $400 up front for a console.
Which is exactly the point I was trying to make. They get it into spaces of more successful companies and they use their capital to try to just gain market share. They're just buying people's market share through financing now.
Yeah,
That's
I
their
agree.
market strategy, is financing and buying a game company that hasn't had innovation in 12 years since Skyrim.
I mean, I agree. They're yeah. If someone's in
They
my
kind of
chat, it's
deserve
like,
each other.
I'm just imagining Elder Scrolls 6, but you have to use like the Xbox Live app to log into it, and it takes you like 45 minutes to even figure out how to make a character, and then I just don't understand like what Microsoft brings to the table in any sense.
well, one
Elder
thing.
Scrolls 6 is dead
One
already.
thing that Microsoft's doing is they're releasing all of their games on PC as well, and they're also a lot of them are being released also on the Steam store, so you can get the game where you want. So I think that's going to be fine because you can just play it through Steam, and as long as the integration is okay there, which was debatable, then that'll still work. So I think for PC players, it's fine. It just basically guarantees that Elder Scrolls 6 will be on PC and it will be properly supported. That's basically all it guarantees at this point. And then past that, I think that as gamers, it just makes the Game Pass a lot more interesting for people who are interested in those titles. I feel like if you just want the safe bet right now is to go with Xbox, the safe bet.
Has there ever been confirmation of Elder Scrolls 6 even beginning development?
Yep, they announced it. They announced it a year ago and had a trailer for it. I imagine it's super early in development. I can't be anywhere close.
Any link?
Yeah, they did a trailer. It's like a top-down trailer. The problem is that they're using the same game engine that they used for like Morrowind, and it's only been updated like very few times. But the same one they used for Skyrim is the same one they used for the new Fallout 76, and they've done like small modifications to the game engine, which is typically how you update game
June
engines.
2018.
Yeah, so it happened a while ago, but I think it's super early in development. I think it was just something to get hype at the time, because they knew it would generate some hype.
They need to let it die like
So-
Half-Life.
So that game's only like 5 years away then, if it was announced in 2018.
Basically.
They need to come out with Elder Scrolls 6 like they need Half-Life 3. It just shouldn't happen, especially since Microsoft owns them. It's just going to be dog shit. It's just going to be bait for, new console release for Xbox XXX or whatever the next iteration is. I'm really disappointed with this. Bethesda used to be super good, but, at least we have...
Didn't they do... My chat's telling me they did Doom Eternal. Is that true?
Bethesda did?
That's what they're saying. Because that was pretty good, I think. I my only experience is watching Moreland play it.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
he liked
I
it.
think that's
game's
correct.
super good.
Yeah,
That was
pretty good.
id Software and Panic
it's id.
Games.
Yeah, like I
They
think
were saying like it is associated with Bethesda somehow. I don't know.
I think that basically there's
Yes,
some good
id
game.
Software and published by Bethesda Softworks. That's what Wikipedia
No,
says.
the parent organization of it is ZeniMax.
ZeniMax is
So
owned by
ZeniMax
Bethesda.
is the thing that
Bethesda
got bought.
It's
Doom.
Bethesda. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. You have to fucking, okay. Jesus Christ.
It's like Alphabet owns Google now. It's a whole like crazy business like that. Yeah. Anyway, so I think
Okay.
the way I would look at this Microsoft acquisition is I would look at individual game studios underneath the Microsoft umbrella and judge them individually on what their quality work is. I don't think Microsoft is going to take a bad game studio and fix it. They're just not a company to do that. They just invest a lot
Right.
of capital. And so if like Obsidian makes good games, I trust in making good games. If Obsidian comes out with a game, I'll probably try it or at least look at it, and I think it'll probably be pretty good because they generally make good games.
So it sounds like there's quite a bit of studios under this umbrella.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 8 or 7, something like that.
But I don't think the people who are making Elder Scrolls have anything to do with the people who are making Doom Eternal, other than the fact that somewhere up the chain there's a publisher that's working for that like owns both of them or something.
They just don't make games like Doom Eternal. And like that was just it was almost like a niche game. I love that game so fucking much, man.
Dude, they're coming out with some kind of update for it, aren't they?
I think they
Oh,
already
really?
did, didn't they?
Oh, did I miss that? Multi-story DLC called The Ancient Gods. Yeah, it was announced last month. I don't know what the ETA is. I'm trying to find information, but yeah, I'm gonna play the fuck out of that when that comes out.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I would just judge each individual studio based on their own merits at this point. And then as far as if you're looking to buy a PS4 or Xbox, I think it would be based on what games you're interested in. I think the Game Pass is probably the best bang for your buck. But at the same time, I mean, you're going to have exclusives on the PS4 you're not going to have on Xbox. And so it's just going to come down to personal buyer's decision which one you are more interested in based on those games. But if you're looking for best bang for your buck, I think that you can't beat the Xbox at this point. I think the Xbox has a way better supply chain. The PS4 seems like they have a huge problems with supply chain right now. And maybe you can get one beforehand, but yeah, there's a huge problem with that.
Okay, so the last version
just has the real games, though, dude. There's just no way I'm buying Xbox over PS4. I mean, we're talking Demon Souls Remastered. We're talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. Fucking, I don't know, dude. There's other ones, too. Like, there's no way I go for Xbox.
Xbox is selling 1/10 of the units that PlayStation is, so of course it's going to be a supply chain issue.
1/10?
Yeah, PlayStation 4 sold how many units?
I don't know.
They sold 112 million. Okay, so 3 times. I'm sorry.
Let's look at what I'm over the pre-orders.
Yeah,
the new ones.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, so 3 times.
The PS4 is definitely way more popular for sure. I'm curious about the next generation, what those are like.
Well, so the previous generation, PS4 outsold Xbox by 3 times. Is what I'm trying to tell you. So
I do
saying
like
they have
that
a supply
Wolverine
chain
controller,
issue.
though.
Okay, so next game we have on the list is Lost Ark.
Yeah, so Lost Ark is actually being published by Amazon Games now. That got announced a couple days ago, I believe. And then the release date is not hard confirmed, but their goal is to get out early 2021, maybe even basically as soon as possible. But yeah, it's made by Smilegate is the developer. And I'm really excited about that. I think the only thing that's the concern is it's a Korean game, and like we know in most Korean games, they have a lot of pay convenience. Lost Ark in other regions has a lot of pay convenience. So I'm hoping Amazon is doing this to build street cred and not necessarily to make money, and so that they go very light on the monetization because of that.
I've heard the monetization in Lost Ark is fine. Apparently, it doesn't have any impact on PvP. So if you're paying to win, you're just paying to win your own single player missions. And I don't really give a shit if people are paying to win their single player shit.
Yeah, your PvP gear is completely different from your regular PvE gear, but that also means that there's not a high demand on doing in-game content. It's sort of like you get the same feeling in that game over time that you do in BDO right now, where you're like, why am I gearing up? And so that's why a lot of people run into after like a month or two of playing that game, is they kind of run into that wall, like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could see it both ways. Like the fact that if the PvP is fun, I mean, it's an action RPG, so the odds that the PvP is good, first of all, seem very low. But people who've actually played the game can correct me if it's actually good. I don't have huge expectations.
The PvP is phenomenal. It is top notch. Oh yeah, I would say it's on a very similar level to Blade and Soul, like very, very similar on that. It's extremely
Lost
good.
Ark?
Yes, it's
Two
very,
very different
good.
games.
This one's isometric, so the play style is different, but the competitiveness of it is very similar. There's a few classes that are unbalanced from what I hear, but it's extremely good PvP. Like they have a PvP arena that you log into. You have 3 people, and basically it's like a challenger where you go and fight each other. You get into that pretty early on, so you get into that where you try out your class and see if you like it or not.
So I guess the question is like, because my experience with these types of games is like Diablo, Path of Exile. That's about it. And I wouldn't want a PvP in either of those games. Like it's just not good. But even if the PvP in Path of Exile was good, would you guys want a Path of Exile arena that's just completely uncapped, where people can use their like normal league gear that's got like perfect exalt rolls from 7 years of grinding, or do you want something where like the gear is equalized? And like, which one do you actually prefer? Do you want to be working for
I feel like
for
there
your
should,
PvP
I feel
gear, or
like
do
there
you want
sh-
it to be separate?
I feel like there should be a casual arena where everybody can just join and the gear is equalized, and then the ranked arena should be uncapped, which gives PvE meaning. So you can enjoy PvP as a casual player, like League of Legends. You can go into non-ranked mode, and you just get a wide variety of players. Sometimes they're bad, sometimes they're good. And ranked, I think your gear
Yeah.
should matter in it.
Honestly, I think it should do the same thing in BDO. I think there should be 2 ranked arenas, one with trial characters and one with just uncapped whatever gear you want to bring. I think if they did that for a game like Lost Ark, it'd probably work really well as well.
Mhm. I'm not sure what they
Gear
do.
squish.
Love that video.
I like gear squish. I like gear squish instead of capping or anything like that. I like squishing gear. So, you can be like this god tier, been grinding for 7 years kind of thing.
Oh, but they switch your gear to make it more relevant for the lower players fighting you.
Well, they
Yeah.
crunch the extra progression you get. So like if you take Albion Hellgates, for example, if you
Yeah.
go to a low tier Albion Hellgate, you have a 700 power soft cap where anything above that you only get 20% of it. So you could go in there with 1400 power, but the last 700 of it is going to get chopped down so that your final score is only like 800 and you're fighting against
Yeah.
people with
Yeah,
700.
I think
so they still have, you have an advantage. Like it matters that you worked for all that gear, but it's just cut to a point where people
I
can
love
still
that.
compete
Yeah.
against you with that bit
Now,
of a disadvantage.
one of the
instead of an auto lose.
One of the things is that Lost Ark has been in development for like fucking a decade. It's been going for a very, very long time. So the graphics on it, I think like the lighting is very noticeably like it looks like a good game. It looks polished and everything, but it looks like it's like the most polished game you could have had 5 years ago.
I don't know. I thought it looked pretty goddamn aesthetically pleasing
Yeah,
from what I saw.
it looks pretty. It looks pretty good, but if you look at it compared to like Path of Exile lighting and like what they have in their new engine that they're running now, you can tell there's a difference. Yeah, it's not bad though. It's not bad.
It's been a while, but I remember Lost Ark looking way fucking better than
But
Path of Exile.
it's-
Like not even close.
So what I'll say is it's not to the point where it'll matter, right? It comes down to gameplay. People play BDO on potato graphics and they still enjoy the game because the game's combat is extremely enjoyable. And so the same thing's true in Lost Ark, where the graphics are not the selling point of the game. They're not a positive or a negative in the category. They're just it's there, they work, and it's fine.
Yeah, if I want graphics, I'll buy Doom Eternal, I'll buy Crysis,
Yeah.
I'll buy Far Cry. I don't really care what the lighting looks like in Lost Ark.
One of
But
the
more interestingly is the published by Amazon, right? So we were all playing New World, which is developed and published by Amazon, right?
Mhm.
So now this is their first stab, I believe, at just publishing a game. That's good. They're getting more invested. They've got a lot of money. They have no idea what they're doing. It's kind of this new entity into this entire, industry. And so it's a game that's been, I think, looking for a Western solution for a while. And then Amazon grabs it. They have a lot to learn. I think this is a good game for them to be invested in, quite frankly. I think that's a positive.
I think what it's going to do two things. So either the game has minor pay to win in it, which is not significant enough to really harm the game in any large way, and they get blowback from that, or they take like a monetization Fortnite or League of Legends, and they do very successful. And I think this is something they're going to learn from this game, because the Korean developers are going to want to push like the minor pay to win stuff. Not any major things. Like, for example, what you can do right now in our regions is after the first month the game comes out, they allow you to autocomplete the dungeons. So you can swipe your card and you just go and you'll automatically get all your loot. So this autocomplete. You don't have to do anything. Which doesn't have any effect on PvP, so it's not really pay to win, but people will see it that way because people have a very wide definition of pay to win. It's more, I would say it's more like Warframe and pay to convenience, where you can basically buy the frames or you can earn them. That's kind of the way that I would see it as a player. But most players who are going to look at this are going to compare it to PoE, which has extremely consumer friendly, marketing and monetization, and then they're going to be like, well, it doesn't meet my standards.
I honestly don't think the monetization matters that much. I think that PoE is such an unintuitive, hard fucking game to get into. And looking at Lost Ark, it looks like, even if the graphics aren't state of the art, I think why it feels like Lost Ark looks so much better than PoE to me is because there's like a visual clarity to it. Like the way that you move through the game, the way you use your abilities looks so smooth and easy to follow. And in PoE, unless you've played PoE for over 1,000 hours, you have no fucking idea what's happening in that game ever. Like the mechanics are impossible to follow. Like the first time I fought Katava, I was just like, okay, my whole fucking screen is red. What is even happening? And Lost Ark looks like something that people are going to be able to just pick up and actually just play and enjoy without having to do like 6 months of homework. So I think that's going to be way more like have a much bigger impact than whatever like cash shop stuff that they put out.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think this is going to be a really big success for Amazon, regardless, just because it's going to be something that's out there. It's going to be a good game. A lot of people have been looking for this for a long time. It's had hype in the isometric community and the MMO community for a very, very long time. It's a niche game. I don't think it's going to be the next like big game or anything like that, but it's going to be something good for Amazon to learn a lot of lessons from, and hopefully be able to maybe apply those into New World. And then maybe make that game even better in the long run as well. One thing you can do is you can actually go to islands, and they have like a little each island has like its own like little unique mini game to it. So one of them is like you ride surfboards and you race surfboards around the island. Another one where it's like a 1v1 arena that happens on a scheduled basis. So I'm interested in exploring these islands and like figuring out what's going on all of them. There's like one where everybody's dressed up in like bikinis and you got to go around socializing with everybody with your cocktail or something like that. They have a whole lot of little interesting mini games that definitely feel that they have that little Korean touch to them, you know, very, very unique. They have life skilling in it as well. Life skilling, I'm not sure how in depth that is, but I saw mining, I saw tree chopping, a few other things, fishing, I believe, as well. So they do have some life skilling in there. Curious to see how in depth that is.
Yeah, people in my chat are saying that it's actually like not similar to other action RPGs at all. So maybe the PoE comparison doesn't hold up. Just looking at the combat from what I saw, it seemed like another action RPG to me, but maybe it doesn't actually play that way.
So the way I would describe it is it's sort of like BDO isometric, with I guess a few different spins on the combat systems and like life skilling and stuff. It's more like BDO than it is like PoE, in my opinion.
So there's like is there like actually a massive world that you're walking around in where you can encounter other players?
Yes, huge world, very, very huge world.
But there's no open world PvP, right?
There's no open world PvP in it.
But if you go to like a grind spot, there's other people there. You're not doing your own instances.
Yeah, there's like people there. Like I was watching somebody last night, and he was going around mining, and another person was over killing monsters behind him. And then he was getting frustrated because the guy's monsters are coming over and leashing and attacking him, and he was getting mad at this dude who was like leashing the monsters and getting attacked while he was trying to mine.
So is there just a shitload of grief in that game where like you just grind over each other? How does that work?
The end game in PvE, you start off by grinding mobs individually, and then you end up doing dungeons and raids for end game. So they have a 4-man dungeon, I think an 8-man dungeon, and a 16-man dungeon, or raid, whatever you want to call them. And then the single player combat is what you would expect it to be, you know, sort of like BDO stuff. It really is a very huge game. Like I would really compare it to like BDO with raids and dungeons and a actual ranked arena. Like it basically has BDO stuff, but more. I think the game world is technically smaller than BDO's. I don't think it's quite as large as BDO's. They're currently on season 2 in Korea. And they have 20 classes out for it. They already have 20 classes out for it. So,
do you get gear by like grinding or like purchasing it, or is it like from dungeons and raids and that kind of stuff?
I don't know if you can purchase it off a marketplace. I'm not sure what their marketplace system is. I assume you could buy it through marketplace, and like life skilling and giving people buffs and stuff, or grinding it yourself, and you could do either one of those. I assume. I'm not sure if there's any limitations on it. Like World of Warcraft, you have to earn it. You can't buy all the best gear off the marketplace. So I'm not sure what kind of limitations they have on that. It's interesting anyway. I've been super hyped about it. I watched a trailer for Lost Ark. I think 8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. It was a long time ago, and I've been looking forward to the game for a super long time. So I'm really hyped that Amazon's taking this on, and really looking forward to putting some time to it.
Yep, we got a date, 2021, finally.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was super. My chat was like telling me about it, the other day. I was like, no. Because like, I just read an article that they said they had no official release date, but they were in talks with Amazon at the time. And so like like a week later, they did the announcement with Amazon. So yeah, that's pretty big. But that is not all. Not only did Microsoft buy Bethesda for like was it $7 billion or whatever it was. Lost Ark has been announced for the Western audience, and ArcAge 2. We could have mentioned this last week, but I forgot. ArcAge 2 is going to be it just started development, and it's planned to release 2022 to 2023 for beta, and it's being published by Kakao. Now this is Kakao Games Korea, not Kakao Games NA-EU. But I think this is actually really big because it basically means that we're probably not getting Elyon. They're probably calling it quits on Elyon, giving up on that, and they're probably going to move on with this project instead of bringing.
Why would you think they're giving up on Elyon?
Elyon has been very badly received in every region. People play it. They play it for like a week or two, and then it just dies like all the other average MMOs from Korea and Japan do. It's just another one that goes in the dumpster eventually. So I don't think they might release it, but if they do, it's not going to be any major success.
Isn't Elyon being published by Kakao EU? Why would Kakao Korea having a different game mean that Elyon's getting canceled?
Because Kakao was the original publisher in Korea as well. So they published it in Korea, and then they redid the entire combat system, and they republished it again, and I think it was SCA. And then it did poorly there as well. And they've been trying to redo it over and over again.
Where are you getting this information from?
I've just been following the Korean forums and news on it, like passively, over the last like 2 years. But yeah, it is possible they could still release it. I think it's just unlikely now that they've announced ArcAge 2. I think the only potential problem with ArcAge 2 is the guy who's making it is the same guy who made ArcAge, the original game. But every time what he does is he makes a game. It's an awesome game, and then he leaves the project, and then the project goes to shit over the next like 3 to 4 years, and then they monetize it with pay to win.
ArcAge was shit when it launched. It was pay to win garbage when it launched. So what are you talking about?
Yep.
I think the only good time in ArcAge was like 6 months before launch in the alpha.
Well, I mean that's what I'm talking about when it was first available. I mean, there was a moment of good time, right? I didn't play ArcAge, so I can't tell you all the details about. I played ArcAge Unchained, right? So I can't tell you all the details.
Yeah, I think Elyon is being like pretty highly anticipated. I don't know. It sounds like maybe you're confusing it with Bless or something. I don't know what like the idea that it's been published in multiple regions.
It has been. It's been out in Korea, and it's been published in one of the SCA regions, one of the countries there.
But it hasn't, though.
It has. Yeah. They changed the name of it.
They changed the name. Didn't it used to be like Air or something?
Yeah, it used to be Air, and then they released Air a second time, and then they renamed it to Elyon, and they haven't released it another time after Elyon.
They release Air.
They didn't release Air. They renamed it, dude.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
what?
Air has been released in Korea for like a long time, and it's
Potion.
Yeah,
where are you getting this information?
It's also been released in.
Where are you getting this information?
It's on the internet. You'll go fucking read some Korean. Look, you're putting me on the spot here. I don't have my database of URLs right now.
They renamed the game, dude. They renamed the game, dude. They like had to start from scratch. Air was not released.
Like it has been released. Maybe in a beta form, if that's what you're throwing to call it. You want to put another title on it, but it's the same thing. It's been beta, out. People have played it.
Release. The game was never released.
like, I think Lazy Peon has an entire playthrough on the SCA server, whatever that one was.
Show me your
Air
food.
is Elion.
Yeah, he played the
Dude,
beta.
They renamed it.
The game hasn't been published multiple times. It hasn't been released multiple times. There have been some betas that were then completely reworked for a game that's now still in development. But none of this game hasn't been released before.
It was
I'm not
renamed.
getting that information.
You're talking about the same game.
It sounds like he's thinking the betas were releases because there was a release or a beta in Korea and a beta in SCA. It sounds like,
Yeah,
but they were betas, not releases. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, not full release betas, but they're the same thing. They were failures as when they came out.
I think when the game was Air and it had a beta, then it wasn't like the reviews are mixed. Yeah, you're right about that. But Elion, I think, is like a renamed game that has gotten a lot more development since Air, and it hasn't been released yet. So I think that Elion has a chance of being pretty good. Actually, I don't think it's the same thing as what Air was a year ago when
They
people were playing.
updated the combat in it, which was in the Air release of the SCA server, and the combat is meaningful. I'll say it's meaningful content, meaningful combat. It feels good. It would pass an MMO standard pass. They have pets in it, just like BDO has pets. They have life skills, just like BDO has life skills. It's like a BDO knockoff, is what it is. The storyline is all over the place, though, and then it has kind of like a lack of end game, which is similar to BDO. I don't think it has any longevity at the current time. I mean, if it came out, I would probably try it for a little bit, but I just don't. I have not heard anything good about it, and what I have heard has not been, stellar. It just seems like a BDO clone or a knockoff.
Okay, well, anyways, back to Arcade 2.
Yeah.
I don't see any chance in hell that this comes out in 2022 or 2023.
No.
Just started developing it. That's just absolutely fucking not going to happen. And if it does, then it's going to be an incomplete piece of shit. I don't know. Arcade had potential. It was fun for a few months. I don't know. I guess we'll see in 3 to 4 years from now.
I think it's clear what ruined Arcade. So, I mean, they can make a new game, but they just have to actually not make it a piece of shit pay-to-win game.
Yep.
And update some graphics and mechanics to it, and it'll be a contender.
The thing that originally ruined it was pay to win, and then over time they added dailies. So it went from pay to win to daily age, and so those are the two things they got to work on. The crafting system got basically. It just got invalidated because you got Haram gear, and Haram gear was all acquired through dailies and world bosses and stuff like that. So, you had to get these little daily scrolls, and then, it's just no one wanted to play a daily game. So that's why Arcade and Chain died, because just full of dailies. They didn't have the crafting system people liked.
I liked stealing people's trees at 6 a.m. That was fun.
We had this one guy. We had 5 of us that showed up for his trees. The plant had been a terrible location, and he was over there like, "No, please, please!" And we were all like, "God, just chopping down his trees, man." For sure. I had a blast doing that. Genshin Impact. It's a gacha type game. A lot of people are kind of hyped for it. I don't know. I don't think I want to play it personally. But it does look like a lot of people are interested in playing it.
It looks like another ugly weeb clone.
It is definitely weeb.
Bullshit
sure.
game. Who cares? There's so many weeb gacha games out there, dude. Like, I don't know who's excited for another weeb gacha game in 2020.
I think it's pretty good. But there's maybe not Morrowind because of weeb, but it is. I think a lot of people are going to be interested. If you're a type of person who doesn't mind gacha games, it's probably the best one for the foreseeable future. A lot of people are playing it while they're waiting for Blue Hole. A lot of people want to wait for Blue Hole to come out, and they're playing that while they're waiting for that.
Blue Protocol, you mean?
Oh yeah, Blue Protocol. I've seen of people who are making their game.
Blue Protocol, a gacha game.
Blue Protocol is an
anime
MMO. Yeah, anime MMO. It's in like
I saw some videos about Blue Protocol, and I don't give a shit about the weeb thing. The gameplay looked pretty good. I don't think it's like a PvP thing, but I might play that just to see what's up.
Yeah, I think it's a game that you pick up and you just play in your free time a little bit here and there. You know, just like any other gacha game when you're bored.
How come there's not more non-weeb gacha games? It just seems like free money to me.
Well, they've been coming out with them forever on mobile, and now they're just catching on PC. They're like, hey, wait a second, this
All
might
the
be some
ones
money.
I see are weeb games. The only non-weeb gacha is Raid, and it's got like it's making $1 billion a day. Like I don't know why people don't make a non-weeb gacha game and just slaughter Raid. It's like I don't know.
I don't know. Well, that's it for the topics. What else you guys want to talk about?
We're at about almost 3 hours here. I think we should probably close it out.
All right, let's do it.
That was Nerds and Words episode 18. Biohack, Borland, Potion Shop. On behalf of all the guys, thank you guys for listening. If you all have some special content you got going on this week, or if you have a sponsored stream or something like that you want to plug, please go ahead and do so. Biohack?
Yeah, speaking of Raid, I'm doing a Raid sponsorship today. So we'll be playing that game in a couple hours. I know people meme on it, but I'm like hardcore addicted to that game. I play like 4 accounts now.
Are you able to play it right now? Is it not lagging for you?
Yeah, I'm playing it on. I have it on my 3rd monitor and on my 2nd desktop right now. Into different accounts.
So are you?
It's like the servers have been garbage for like a week. Yeah, it's definitely a problem, but it's like working for me at the moment, literally right now. But who knows?
That's good.
Oh yeah, so I get paid if people download it. So if you want to try it,
Go get Biohack paid.
yeah.
Borland, what's up with you this week, dude?
I'm probably gonna keep going hard on Hades for like another week or so, and then I'll have the beta version of the website up in the sub channel on Discords probably in the next few days. So I'm going to be hashing out a lot of like whatever issues people find with that over the next week. I'm going to be redoing my node network in BDO, freeing up contribution for Odalita, basically getting everything ready for October 7th so I can go out there and get the new grinding node for Dead God and get the mass nodes for Black Star enhancing, etc. So yeah, basically just more Hades, Odalita prep, and fine tuning the website behind the scenes. So if you are subs, then keep an eye on the sub Discord. We'll have a little hidden link to a version of the website that's not on the main URL, so you won't be able to find it if you're not in there. And then hopefully we can release like the actual normal website domain like next weekend or something. So we'll see how that goes.
Potion?
Let's see. Monday, pin, boss armor. I'm not sure what I'm going to do the rest of the week. I think I want to continue making money and try to get a Garmoth heart before Ordaludo comes out. And then probably just chill. Probably grind for the infinite mana potion for a day or two before the October 7th. We don't have a patch this week. We have 2 hours of maintenance for the reset the servers, so there's no patch this week. So we're going to have to find something very interesting to talk about next week. I don't know. So, yeah, I don't know. Just a chill week. Lots of grinding for money. Probably try to do like a 2 bill a day. So if you're interested in seeing 2 bill a day, what that looks like, it's really boring. Then you can watch, I guess. I don't know.
I just want to say I just hit pen red reblath. Feels bad, man.
88 stack, right? Soon. TM. For me, I am going to be doing a RBF extravaganza tomorrow. See how many kills I can get in one session. So that should be a little bit of fun. But outside of that, make sure you drop me a follow because I just stream whenever the hot fuck I want. And then I say what I want and do what I want. So nothing special planned except for just being me. So again, on behalf of Biohack, Moreland, Potion Shop, thank you guys for tuning in for another 3-hour extravaganza of Nerds and Words. Next week will be episode 19. Find us on Spotify or Potion Shop's YouTube. We will have Blonde Bear will be our special guest next week. So make sure you tune in for that. Thank you guys for listening. Have an excellent week. And we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.